Cool. Boa noite, galera da TV Maldita. É com muita satisfação que a gente está aqui hoje. Lembrando todos vocês que o nosso convidado especial, Jonathan Moffett, ele também concordou em ajudar, né, no Superchat. Então, tudo aquilo que rolar no Superchat hoje, como a gente já falou antes, a gente vai arrecadar para o Osvaldo Vecchioni, da banda Made in Brasil. E eu vou explicar isso para o Jonathan agora, porque quando eu falei com ele, eu tinha dito para ele que a gente iria arrecadar para um grupo de músicos, mas a gente mudou isso, então eu vou explicar para ele agora. Vocês podem mandar o Superchat, que as perguntas interessantes o Gilson vai separar e a gente vai falar com vocês. Então é isso aí. Good evening, Mr. Jonathan Moffett. Welcome aboard.
It's such a pleasure to be here and on board with you guys, and also to be in the presence of all my beloved South American fans and Brazilian fans. Don't worry, I get your messages, and you send me messages on my social media, Instagram, Facebook. I get them, and I appreciate it. Many of you requested for me to come there. I would love to, and I gotta find a promoter to bring me down there. It'll be my pleasure to come share some rhythm and groove and some spirit and some social gathering, you know, and with you guys in the presence of you there, my fans there, and I love it. I've been to Brazil with George Michael. I was there with the Rock in Rio Festival, 1992, and I loved it. Had a wonderful time, and I love you all. And I, wish I can get something going once this COVID thing ends. Try to stage something to come down there and spend some time with you.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So now that we are kind of connected, we can help you to go to Brazil and to perform to the people, because I'm pretty much sure that people are gonna love to watch you doing a clinic, so explaining everything, like the concepts about your drumming, about your mindset when it comes to drumming. So this is something important that it's really cool. Like if you could explain a groove and then you talk about it, about ideas. I'm pretty much sure that when this COVID is gone, we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna help you to get there, for sure.
That would be a pleasure of mine. It would be awesome. And when I'm in the presence of my fans, and especially the fan down there, because I notice South American people and Brazilian people are very spiritually sensitive. And I know that from my spirit, I relate to that because I'm a spirit person, and very sensitive people there about life and about energy, about love and togetherness as humankind. And it shows from the spirits of the people there and the messages I get.
Absolutely.
I relate to you.
The Brazilian guys, they have a lot of love to share to everyone. And since we are very far away from the big centers, so every time when people go there to play, the Brazilian guys, they support, they go to the show, they travel miles to get to the other side of the country just to enjoy the performance of their favorite artists. So I'm pretty much sure that this is going to be awesome for you. Good evening, Gilson Naspolini. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I sleep well today.
That's cool. That's awesome. So, Jonathan, we're going to raise money during this chat with you for a very important musician in Brazil that he had a stroke like a month ago. So, and he's recovering. So we decided to change, instead help that union, the music union. We decided to do your show and 4 more shows of the next week to raise money for this recovery of this guy that is called Osvaldo Vecchioni, and he is the mastermind of a band called Made in Brazil. And these guys, they are in the music business for 45 years. So this guy, this guy is really important. And I would like to thank you in the name of all the Brazilian fans for supporting us in this cause to help Osvaldo Vecchioni to get better during all this process that is gonna be kind of long. But now that we cannot work, we need to help each other. So this is the best way that we can do this. So thank you so much for joining us to help Osvaldo.
Well, for this something sensitive like that, I'm gonna take my glasses off. I want to see my eyes when I speak, just because I'm going to be saying a deep prayer for this gentleman because this is such an incredible challenging event that happened to him or anybody. I want you to see my eyes of sincerity, because is when you say what happened to him, I shudder inside. We all should, because it's such a frightening thing to happen. And we try to be positive, but I got to send him love and prayers, the deepest of prayers and sensitivity, that we're all with you. Everybody watching this broadcast with you. And I implore everyone while we're on this broadcast to pray for him collectively, as while we're spending this time, the hour or whatever, continually pray for him. And because prayer and numbers get answered, it goes to the express mailbox of God. So, and he reads those first when it's in numbers about something very important, especially the hearts and spirits of people who feel somebody very important needs help. So my prayers are so deep, and they go out for you, sir. And keep positive. Don't believe that nothing can help you keep you down. Believe in yourself. Believe in God. Climb back up the long ladder. I've just had to do it. I don't know if anybody knew I had triple bypass heart surgery 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago. And that's a long climb back, but it can be done. Keep the faith and the spirit, and follow your doctors, and take your time. The most important thing, don't rush these situations. Take your time, because a lot of people love you. They want to see you back. They want to spend time with you, and you perform again. And regardless, we just need your spirit amongst us all. So take your time to heal, all the time that's necessary. Because the most important thing about it all is you. We want you. With your artwork or your playing and performance, but beyond the artwork, we want you as a human spirit to be amongst us and with us.
Cool.
For all time.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Gilson to put the picture of this guy here, and you will see that this guy, he's special because he has a bass that he had been playing this bass for more than 40 years, and the bass is the shape of this bass is a big star. So this is really cool. So this is really cool. And I remember when I joined Angra back in 2001, I read, but just check this. Just check this amazing picture.
Awesome. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yes, I love that.
Yeah, this is Osvaldo Vecchione. He's a legend in Brazil. And I remember this guy, he has a huge passion when it comes to his band and his music. And I remember reading an interview with him and with his band, and he was saying that he doesn't know like who gonna be there to help him during the next show of his band, but he was totally sure that he gonna be there. Doesn't matter who or you know, because the passion of this guy, he's the face of this band made in Brazil. So I remember that passion until now. That was like a few words, but I never forget the passion, you know, when I read that. So that was incredible, really cool. So
sounds like he moves a lot of people. It sounds like he moves a lot of people's hearts and spirit with his music and his talent and his spirit.
Absolutely.
That's a wonderful human being. So we got to pray for him. We got to lift him up in prayer. Come on now, everybody, every single one of you, lift him up in prayer.
Okay, so we're gonna make a little translation about what you said to the Brazilian guys, because this part was really important when you took off your shadow. So this is really cool. Então, galera, quando eu falei para ele que a gente iria ajudar o Osvaldo Vecchione, que teve um AVC há pouco mais de um mês atrás, e que a gente iria ajudar na recuperação dele, ele falou assim: deixa eu tirar os meus óculos, porque eu quero que vocês vejam a sinceridade das palavras que eu vou passar aqui. Então, ele falou que ele teve um problema, né? Eu não sei exatamente o que foi, mas eu acho que ele teve que botar aqueles stents, 2 stents nele, alguma coisa assim, e aí ele teve muito tempo para se recuperar, e agora que ele tá bem, né? Então, eu me lembro disso, que foi uma comoção na net, mas que ele ficou muito feliz, e ele pediu para todos vocês fazerem pensamento positivo, né? Orarem pelo Osvaldo, e ele falou para o Osvaldo também: mantenha a fé, acredite em Deus, siga o que os doutores te falarem, que a recuperação não é impossível, porque eu também já passei por isso. Então, isso foi uma coisa muito sensacional. É isso, Gilson? Ou foi algo mais? É isso aí, né?
É isso aí.
É isso aí. Okay. So, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you something that is not here in my questionnaire. Every time when I meet you, you are very, very well dressed up. Do you think that the music business treat people better when they take care of like the look and how they are dressing up?
I'm gonna tell you like my father told me, and why I learned it from my father.
Cool.
Every single day, he was the coolest dressed man in New Orleans, Louisiana. I grew up there, and all my friends and associates would say, "Man, your dad is the coolest. He's always styling. He's always got his hat on, a cool hat. He's always got a white crisp shirt on, a suit. He wears a suit every day. He always got his pocket watch chain here. He's got a vest on. He got a tie on, and everybody gave him mad respect." My father taught me as an example. He said, you have to carry yourself in such a way that it commands respect. And the way you carry yourself, because you may see a person down the street, walking down the street that passed you by. They will take that photograph impression of you, and they may run into you 2 or 3 years later, and then they see you and say, you know what kind of work you do? I have a job for you, because they remember you from before. And how do you impress them? How you carry yourself, how you dressed. And it's very important. He taught me. And so I learned that from him and from my observation of how people treated him everywhere where we went. People treated him with high regard because they always complimented him how he carried himself with pride. He had huge shoulders and back like this, but they're always clean. And dark shade, I always wear dark shades. And so everybody gave him mad respect. So he instilled that in me.
That's awesome.
Forward, and I think yes, they do treat me different because of the dignity I show by how I think of myself with dignity, and I carry myself with dignity. So they give me that respect. Now, there's days I can wear jeans or cut off t-shirts with stuff like that, but they remember more me in a clean looking, dressed up. So that's the impression that opens the gates for you. And a lot of situation, not every situation, but a lot of situations, they'll treat you business-like and on a higher regard most times, And so I learned that from my father. He instilled that.
That's awesome. So do you think that if you are auditioning for a band and you have 5 different guys and they play pretty much the same, if one of these guys, they are like very well presented with a nice clothes, do you think that it's easier for him to get the gig because he's like he feels himself like a real musician, like an artist, like a rock star, something like that?
Well, actually, that's 2 separate things. He can show up like that and dress to the T, totally cold-blooded, dressed down and looking incredible. But once he picks up his guitar, his accents, he don't sound incredible. He's got out of there. Get him out of there. Get him out.
Yeah, sure. I know.
Go to the fashion show. You're in the fashion business. You're not in the music business. So it's a combination of looking and presenting yourself well, but also presenting your craft well, or whatever you play. You got to present that well, and you have to show through your technique and through your style and through your voicings and your skill that you spent a lot of time invested in developing to the level that you're in to impress them, because it's very important that you be beyond just a standard of talent. You have to rise above that and have something special that where you execute got to be different and unique, special. You got to have a different voicings, and you're either piano player, guitar and playing, or you're drumming, your rhythms. Got to have a different voicing of it. Your identity, tell everybody, especially drummers, you have to develop your own personal identity. Like you write your name, nobody's going to write it like you. When you write your name on your drums, like you do, Achilles, nobody's
like
going to write
you
do. Well, I learned that early on as a young boy. I want to be unique. I want to be special. So what I did, I started delving more into the deeper sense of creativity, which is beyond the figures and the notes, because as you know, everybody does the same notes. There's only one vocabulary of notes and drum rhythms and rudiments. But the difference differentiates one person from another person is his spirit and how he approached the notes, how he voices himself with the notes, how he speaks. When you play your drums, you're speaking. It's language, as you know. And any musician play the instrument, they're speaking. They're having a conversation with the public, with the audience. And it's like what I'm talking about is if you approach it in a special way to have a special voice, it's a dialect. You have like a dialect like yours, and your voice, and people say I sound like New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans, so I have a certain twang on my voice. It's not like normal big city stuff. So, but in music, you want to be separate from everyone, on a higher level grade of talent, but you want to have something different that people recognize that. Yeah, he's doing all the same rudiments, but it's the way he's doing it, the way he sounds, his feel. That's what I'm getting to. His feel is unique. And I've always worked on that. Spiritually, it was natural. It was natural for me. My feel as an identity, as a human, an individual human being. Everybody got their own feel. But I worked on concentrating on how to swing it a certain way. And different from what I learned on the records, I learned that, but I swing it in my spirit. And that's what helped me out a lot. It's about developing a vocabulary of voice in your feel and your attitude, the way you play. And that people can hear your voice. And they say, I like his voice in the drums. Some guys are good, really good, but I like the way he does it. I like the way he feels, his attitude. I feel, the audience will say, I feel his feel when I play. That's what I'm looking for, that they understand what I'm playing and understand the character of the identity that I am, the spiritual person, by my voice and my feel.
Okay, cool. Let me tell the Brazilian guys about what you just said, because this was just amazing. That was just amazing.
But sometimes, excuse me to cut you off, but I get carried away so emotional. My mind is working. I'm trying to explain it. I get too long and drawn out. If I explanation too long, you don't remember.
No.
Cut.
No. It's all good, because I'm gonna give them just like the most important parts that is important for their careers. This is something that you just said is just unbelievable. Because if regular people say that, they're gonna say you are fucking stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. But coming from a legend like you, it means a lot, So let me help the Brazilian guys. Eu perguntei para ele, galera, o seguinte, né? Que todas as vezes que eu encontrava ele estava sempre muito bem vestido. E eu perguntei para ele se ele achava que a indústria da música tratava melhor as pessoas que estavam mais bem vestidas, né? Aí ele deu risada e falou, eu vou contar isso, né? Que eu aprendi isso com meu pai, então vou te contar como que ele me falava. Então ele sempre falava que se você se vestir bem, né? Se você estiver sempre bem limpo, bem apresentável, as pessoas vão te ver de uma forma melhor e vão se lembrar daquele momento que elas te viram pela primeira vez. E ele mesmo falou, às vezes você tá assim na rua, e aí a pessoa vem e bate uma foto contigo, se você não tá pronto, ele vai levar aquela imagem tua para sempre. Aí eu perguntei para ele assim, tá, e se tiverem 5 pessoas fazendo uma audição, todos tocam mais ou menos iguais, né? Só que tem um cara que tá bem vestido pra caralho, você acha que ele ganha gig? Aí ele falou assim, não, peraí, aí são duas coisas, né? Se o cara... Não adianta nada o cara tá bem vestido pra caralho, mas chegar pra tocar lá e não aconteceu. Os caras vão dizer, cai fora, porque aqui não é desfile de modas. Mas, assim, dentro do mercado, né, de música, assim, essa parte visual é bastante importante. E ele já emendou numa outra coisa que é super importante, que a gente sempre fala na TV Maldita. Ele falou assim, o que eu sempre falo para as pessoas é que eles têm que encontrar um estilo. O estilo é o que vai ser a assinatura dele como músico, e baterista tem muito disso, né? Na hora que o cara senta, o cara toca, e aí é uma forma dele assinar e dele ser lembrado por aquilo que ele fez. Okay, Jonathan, let's get started.
All right, fantastic.
Okay, so did the fact that you came from a family of musicians facilitate your development in music? Do you believe that?
Well, actually, me and my brothers, my siblings were the first true musicians in the family. My mother said my father played a little cornet, but not very good. But his co-worker at work, he worked at the post office in New Orleans, the main post office. One of his co-workers, kids were into music. His sons were into music. So in talking, he expressed to my father that his kids was in music. My father thought it was a good way to keep us out of trouble. So he asked me and my brothers if we wanted to play music. So we said, yes, and we chose our instruments. So it wasn't like I came down from a broad family of music, based in music. We were like the first true generation of the immediacy of the Moffett family. Now they have the Moffetts and jazz up in New York. I'm not sure, I haven't established if we're related or not, but it's the same thing. A whole family of Moffetts, out of New York, and they're incredible musicians. Very, very good. But I don't know if we're related. Probably down the line, but I haven't found out the truth yet. But the Moffetts in New Orleans and the Moffetts in New York, maybe we related because both whole siblings would play music, but their parent played music as well. Mine didn't. And so my brothers and I started playing music in the family. So I could say that it came from a family line of playing music, because my mother and father before me didn't play music.
Okay.
Now, my mother said one of her great grandfathers played violin very good, and in the South, he was very famous in the southern region of Louisiana, Mississippi. They could send for him to perform, in the colonial days and like 1800s and stuff, even back with those days. And he was hired a lot to do shows at plantations and homes, big homes. But so he was a musician, but nobody. My mother and father wasn't, and as far as I know, my grandfather, grandmother wasn't. So it wasn't inspired so much from that. It was inspired from that man at my father's work, just as telling my son, you ought to get him into music. And he asked us, and strangely enough, and greatly enough, that it was in us. We all excelled at our instruments. Brother played guitar, he was fantastic. My other brother who played bass and saxophone, he was fantastic, and both sang really well. And I played drums, and I felt my calling soon as I started playing drums. And put it like this: at 10 years old, I was playing in nightclubs, making money in New Orleans. At
10 years old.
10 years old.
Were you allowed to get in at that time, or you were like hiding?
But no, well, in New Orleans, Louisiana, the laws were a little bit loose. They wasn't strict. So, but to respect the laws and not get in trouble, they sneak me in the back door. This one club will hire us. They sneak me in the back door, and they bring my drums in and set them up. And this little 10-year-old boy would play with all these grown-ups, and my brothers were a little older than me, and played the gig. And then afterwards, they gave me a little $5, and I said, "What is this?" I didn't know we get paid. I thought it was just for fun. I love playing. I said, "What's this?" They said, "Oh, that's your money. You get paid. You got paid." I said, "You get paid for this?" I thought you do it because you love it. And it was the first time I said, "I want to do this the rest of my life." So, at that moment, the club name was.
So the first time when you get paid, you were 10 years old.
I was 10 years old. Yes.
Do you remember how much did you get paid?
$5.
$5. That was that was good for that time. Huh?
That was 1964.
Yeah, you could.
I was like, wow, what is this? I'm pulling it.
You could buy a lot of candies.
A lot. A lot, and I did.
Okay, I can imagine. Gilson, put the super chat here on the screen. That big one from the guy. He donated for us almost 200 reais. That was really cool. So he said, "What a great night. Having the opportunity to learn from this legendary drummer and human being. Long live to Jonathan, SugarFoot, Aquiles, Gilson, and to our dear Osvaldo Vecchioni, praying for his health recovery." That was great. Thank you, Fernanda.
Thank you so very much. That's wonderful of you.
Thank you. Então, galera, ele falou assim que mesmo tinha duas famílias Moffett, uma em Nova York e uma em New Orleans, que as pessoas achavam que eles tinham relação. Mas ele falou assim que os pais deles não tiveram ligação com música, né? E ele começou a tocar muito novo, com 10 anos, ele recebeu o primeiro cachê dele, que foi $5. E aí eu falei para ele, $5 naquela época era um monte de grana, você deve ter comprado um monte de docinhos. Ele falou assim, isso aí, eu comprei mesmo. Okay, Gilson, now it's your turn.
Yay. Let me put you on the screen here. Jonathan, what were your inspirations as drummers at the beginning of your career?
Oh, inspirations as drummers. In the beginning of my career, I would have to say the Motown drummers on Motown records, and at the time they didn't put their names on the records. But I learned all this stuff. It was inspirational as a young drummer. Very simple stuff, but I was inspired because their beats added to the popularity of the song, and I love that they were part of that. There was another record company called Stax Records, a very popular funk and R&B drum record label. I learned this stuff, but my key first inspiration was James Brown drummers. Oh my God, when they came on the scene, they changed everything, man. Clyde Stubblefield, J. Will Sparks, and Melvin. I forgot Melvin's last name, Parker, I think. But they were like Clyde and J. Will were like it. And then I learned all of this stuff. I can play this stuff right now. Then my homeboy, my first local inspiration, and one of other than James Brown drummers, one of my real main ones is Zigaboo, Joseph Zigaboo Modeliste, with the meters, the funky meters. And you have got to hear him play. He will change your theory on playing because it's so unorthodox.
Please, can you repeat the name?
His name is Joseph Modeliste. I forgot. I don't know. That's up his name, Modeliste. But he goes by. But everyone knows it's Zigaboo. It's Zigaboo. Look up Zigaboo. You find Zigaboo, and you will rethink playing drums. He has a twister, and it's a New Orleans style. But we do a lot of flams between the snare and the kick, and the hi-hat, and we do hi-hat figures against the flams of the very syncopated and free-flowing syncopation all throughout the song. But the hi-hat is going against that. It's like real tricky. I learned all of Zigaboo stuff, and that gave me my dexterity that I have playing. And then, of course, David Garibaldi, he was a fan of Zigaboo, and he learned from Zigaboo. And then I became a fan of his because his style with Tower Power. He took what Zigaboo did and put the Oakland feel on it and became Tower Power, his feel for Tower Power. Then I was starting in early 60s, I got into rock, and I got into Charlie Watts, and I got into Ringo Starr. I loved them. I loved them as players, They were amazing and inspirational to me, very inspirational. Then I started getting into John Bonham, in the mid 60s and late 60s and stuff. So I got more into the rock stuff, and started learning the rock stuff. So I got into, then I started getting Billy Cobham was huge on me. Billy Cobham, Narada Michael Walden in the late 60s and early 70s was huge. Lenny White was huge. And for me, Buddy, and I can't forget Buddy Rich and Louis Belson.
Of course.
Yeah, they were earlier on, even before Zig and all of them. I listened to my mother had records from Duke Ellington and all them, and I would listen to Louis Belson on Skin Deep solo. And it grew over the years. Many drummers and R&B drummers that I admired, and I learned their beats from the different R&B and soul records and stuff. And Don Brewer from Grand Funk Railroad, I got into him. He was a phenomenal drummer as well. It's down in the South. We mix the genres of music. We love all music, and the neighborhoods, and we were always trying to experiment with all different styles on our shows. And so those are the people that inspired me in the 60s and 70s, And there's many, my list is so long, many more. But I thought that mix of different styles and feels, I developed my foundation with, and started adding to my signature of soul to that, and my ideas and expressions based on that foundation. And I came up with my own formula, my own voice, like I mentioned, my own sound, my way to speak from all of those people mixed into a big old gumbo pot.
Okay, cool. Jonathan, what can you say to those drummers that think that Ringo Starr is not cool? That his ideas are not like that he was not ahead of his time at that time? Because I think he was.
Yes,
but some of the new drummers, they think that Ringo Starr is not that brilliant, and I think that he was fucking brilliant.
He was brilliant. First of all, you're brilliant and you're cool when you develop a style. When he came with the Beatles, nobody swung like him. His swing, his hi-hat swing, he was perfect for those songs. And he made those songs, and other drumming those songs would have felt different. I don't know if that would be as big of hits, Ringo, you don't have to have a lot of chops to be a cool drummer and a great drummer. And
Absolutely.
He taught me how to be consistent with something and watching him and learning him playing on hit records, and he was already at the top of his game with the Beatles. And I felt like he taught me how to be consistent in the patterns, verses compared to choruses, and how to fit in a song. But most of all, even though the figures he was playing was more simple, they were complex in the feel of his swing, his understanding of the songs to apply the right beats, to apply to the right touch, because those are chops. Touch, feel, swing, attitude, finesse. Those are chops too.
Finesse, amazing.
It's not always in figures and speed and stuff. Those are the very important integral chops.
Cool.
And that's what I feel I work on excelling at. Those things. That makes you.
Let me tell the Brazilian guys about this, because this is really important for this new generation. Eu falei para ele, né, que ele citou vários bateras e que ele falou que ele também foi muito influenciado pelo Ringo. E aí eu falei, né, o que você acha, né, desses bateras mais novos, assim, que não acham que o Ringo era tão legal, era tão brilhante, que ele não... Eu falei para ele, eu sempre achei que ele estivesse à frente do tempo dele, né, e que ele era brilhante. Ele falou, não, eu concordo, ele era brilhante mesmo, e mais importante, né, que ele tinha um estilo, né, o swing do chimbal dele, o jeito que ele toca, tal, era uma coisa que era muito dele. Finesse. E a finesse do cara, né, do jeito que ele tocava as coisas, e mais importante que ele falou, ele era o cara perfeito para aquelas músicas, entendeu? Então, o cara é brilhante, e eu volto a falar o seguinte, o cara que não gosta de Beatles, o cara precisa se tratar urgente, e se você é baterista, se você não gosta de Ringo Starr, você pode ir pra puta que te pariu. Gilson, vamos voltar lá na...
Deixa eu só citar alguns dos nomes que ele falou. Ele citou alguns nomes que eu acho que eram legal. Ele disse que no começo da carreira, quando ele começou na bateria, né, os discos nem vinham com ficha técnica. Então, alguns dos músicos ele nem sabia quem estava tocando ali, né? Bandas que influenciaram ele, grupos que influenciaram ele. Mas ele citou um especial que é o Joseph Zig Modelist, conhecido como Zigaboo. E ele citou que esse batera explodiu a mente dele, assim, ampliou a visão dele para aquele R&B que ele gostava tanto. E, inclusive, ele disse que isso influenciou até o David Garibaldi, que é um cara bem conhecido da galera até hoje, né? Do Tower of Power, e que foi influenciado também pelo Zigaboo. Eu não conhecia esse nome, vou procurar depois, fica a dica. E ele citou outros também, Charlie Watts, do Stones, assim, o Ringo também, Buddy Rich com Louis Bellson, entre outros que foram os que influenciaram ele nos anos 60.
Isso aí, vamos voltar na pergunta 2 ali, Gilson.
Vamos lá.
So, Jonathan, when you were young...
Let me say one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to say, based on that last question and my last explanation, I love Ringo Starr, and I want to thank him. I want to thank him for helping launch my career by inspiring me so much. Back when he came along on the scene, the first time I saw him, Ed Sullivan, I changed my life. And I love you, Ringo Starr, for doing that to me.
Awesome. That's awesome. Ele falou assim, antes de ir para a próxima pergunta, eu quero só deixar claro que eu amo o Ringo Starr e tudo que ele fez, né, para me inspirar, né, para que eu tivesse a minha carreira musical também. Então, se você é boca de burro e vai continuar falando que você não gosta de Ringo Starr, bicho, vai esfregar o teu cu na brita. Então é isso aí. Okay, so when you were young, did you study the technical and the mechanical parts a lot, or did you develop you as like when you were playing in the gigs?
Well, when I was young, the only lessons I had was when I first got my first drum, which was a marching snare drum, big gallon marching drum, and I was so small for my age. For my size, my age, I started when I was 6, but I was like the size of a 4-year-old. And the drum would just roll. I tried to be in a marching band at the school, and the drum would just roll all over me because I was too small and couldn't carry it right. So they strapped it to my leg, and someone had to literally march in front of me, going backwards to hold the drum from rolling over me. So what I'm saying is, I started in school, and I was 6 years old, and I had lessons at school, band, and learning rudiments. And my father had private lessons for me for about 9 months every second Saturday of the month. And actually, in all actuality, those were my only lessons in my life, in my career, learning the basic rudiments. I never knew, there was nobody in my neighborhood to teach me. It was only the people on the vinyl records that I had. They were my teachers. They were the people. They were kind enough on album, on vinyl, to come to my home private and put on my record box and play for me. When I put that needle down, they play for me. So and I would listen to them so strongly because I was so into drumming and the spirit of drumming, and so desiring want to be like them and be able to do that. They can do that. That means I can do that if I put some time in.
Jonathan, do you think that the positive thinking is important to get there?
Absolutely. It's vital. It's not just important. It is vital, because if you think negative, you will be good at nothing. Forget drumming, music. There is nothing that you try to apply yourself to you will be successful at or be good at or learn if you don't have that absorption of positivity in your mind, heart, and spirit, and self-belief that they can do it, I can do it. And then through that spirit of strength of spirit, you spend the time. It's very important. What I'm saying now is that you must spend the time with your instrument one-on-one, as much time as you can do every day, because it's a relationship. Me and my drums have a love relationship for all these years. We've been in love and we never separated. I never got divorced. No problems. And my drums, even though I whip them up, they don't fuss back. They don't hit me back. They can't hit me back. So
even if you are doing some kung fu's?
No, don't get hit back. My hands are not cut. So my drums love me. I love my drums. I love and spirit to my drums. My drums give me love and spirit back when they pronounce what I say. They repeat what I say spiritually. And we have a conversation. But the main thing, as I'm saying, is you have to spend the time with your instrument before you can take your instrument and spend time with other musicians. You have to learn your vocabulary. It's like language. You got to learn the letters mean, what each letter means. Then you got to learn how to apply them in a word. You learn what a word means and the spelling of the word. Then you take that word, you add it to a sentence. You have to grow your education on your instrument. Now I didn't have a teacher. So I have to suss this out of my mind. All of these nuances of these things I'm saying, and it's mainly from listening and copying. But as I'm doing that, I'm understanding more, and I'm opening up my mind for equating things and how to judge things and how to figure things out. So you're learning a different technique that you wouldn't have had if you wouldn't have challenged yourself like this. But the more you learn, the more conversation I can have with a guitar player, with a bass player, with a keyboard player. When they come in the same room with me, we can have a conversation. We can write a story of music, a song of music, which is a story. Together, we compose and write a story or write a book. Every song is a book. So I had no one to teach me all my life. Nobody's taught me. I had the people on the record, like I mentioned, who I fell in love with their sound and their playing, and I brought them home. And I spent hours and hours, 6-8 hours a day, just going back and putting it in. I get frustrated. I put the sticks down, wait an hour or two, go back in, pick them back up, and that's when it started adding up to 6 and 8 hours. I wouldn't do it all the time straight through. I get frustrated. I can get something, and I say, let me take a break. I come back, I'm fresh again. I know I can get this. I apply myself until I get it. It may take 2 or 3 days, but then in 2 or 3 days, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing it. I shot myself, and I achieved what I wanted to do, and I can say what this person said on that song and that album, and that lets me know that I can be where he is when I get my talent and my skills together. I can do what he's doing on the level he's doing. I had that kind of mentality, and it wasn't from a book. I don't know. I'm not saying this with pride. Kind of shamefully saying it. I don't know how to read music. I never was. I knew in school for snare drum, but I nobody taught me how to read drum set music. So I had to always figure it out myself. I challenged myself to spend the time and think it through. If I heard a sound in a certain placement in a rhythm, I say, well, to get to that, I had to cross this arm over. I had to do the mechanics and the you know what I'm saying, or the technical part of it, figuring how he made this happen, why this was still happening. So I had to picture it in mind. And I had to develop these scenes. I had to develop them. But I taught myself how to figure out these things. And then grow it into my own voice, what they were doing, to my own thing. By mixing everything I learned, I created a new vocabulary of my own. But I was just mainly inspired by other people. And then it was up to me to take it further. It was up to me to take it further.
Cool, ok. Galera, eu perguntei para ele se ele estudou a parte mecânica e técnica no começo, né? E ele falou que, basicamente, resumindo, foi que ele aprendeu com os discos que ele levava para casa. Então, aqueles que eram os professores deles, né? E aí ele falou que ele pegava aquelas coisas e ele ia colocando a forma dele tocar, né? E aí outra coisa que ele estava falando sobre pensar positivo e tal, aí eu perguntei se ele achava que era importante, né? Tipo, pensar positivo para você chegar lá. Ele falou, não é importante, é vital. Se você for uma pessoa negativa, se você achar que você não é capaz, você não vai conseguir mesmo, entendeu? Porque, tipo assim, você tem que acreditar que se outra pessoa que você admira consegue fazer, você também pode fazer a tua história. E outra coisa que ele falou que é muito legal, assim, é que ele tem uma relação muito íntima com a bateria dele. Ele falou para vocês que vocês têm que estudar também, né? Ele, tipo assim, quando ele começava era de 6 a 8 horas por dia, e que para ele é um relacionamento que, por mais que ele toque na batera, que ele bata na batera, a batera nunca bate de volta para ele, né? De volta nele. E aí eu falei, nem quando você dá os golpes de Kung Fu, né? Que ele faz aqueles negócios de Kung Fu, ele falou, não, aí, tipo, ela nunca bate de volta porque ela sabe que é uma relação de amor que eu tenho com o instrumento, né? Então, basicamente, a gente sabe muito bem. Se não suar o teu rabo no banco, nada vai acontecer. Ok, Jonathan. How did you get the Jackson 5 gig and then the Michael Jackson gig?
That's a long story, but
we have time.
Yeah,
very long story. But I always equated to destiny, and my destiny, and it was written long before I came to the scene of Hollywood. When I was a little boy and watched Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5 on Ed Sullivan's show like everybody else. And I sat in front of the TV that night, did very first appearance, and I was like marveling at them because I was into music well enough. But at that point, I said, you know what, man, I wish I could play with them. You know, I want to be there. I want to play with them one day. I wish I could. You get sometimes the dreams come true.
How old you were?
I was 69. I wasn't a little boy. I was 15. I would say 15.
Wow.
68, 69, yeah. 15 years old. But I watched it with my family. And I think, man, I'd done a lot of club gigs in New Orleans, but I said, I wish I could play with them. You know, that's my dream. You know, like every musician wished they was on Ed Sullivan's show. This was the old TV show, very popular that they were on. They debuted. And not little knowing, show you how things work and how God works. Little knowing that here I am, all these years later, I'm Michael Jackson's drummer and the Jackson's drummer. I was this young guy who prayed for that and said that and pronounced it, and it came true. And if I tell you the story, it's an absolute miracle. But it would take so long. But to break it down a little bit, it was that in '79, I decided. Well, before then, I came out to Los Angeles with a band called the Money Band, local band. And we came to Los Angeles and we wound up breaking up, going back home. I wanted to stay. And then one of my friends in New Orleans was the Jacksons music director in '75. And I came out in '79. He had given me his phone number when he came to New Orleans several years before, his address. And when I decided finally to come to Los Angeles, I forgot it at home. And to make a long story kind of short, I knew the street name because it goes back and forth through years and bouncing back and forth. I knew his street name, but I had forgotten the paper with his name of his street on it and his number. I couldn't contact him. So I was living when I came to Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley in Woodland Hills area, actually in the Encino area, right above. Strange enough, I drove out. I had to drive past, didn't know it. Well, I did. My friend told me, drive past Michael and the mother in the house to get up to the house I was staying at every day and drive up there and come back down. I would look in the gates. I said, man, I wish I could play with Michael and his brothers. I wish every pass. So, and I didn't know him then. And so I did that wish, and then we moved to Woodland Hills, and just so happens I was going to the airport to pick up another friend from New Orleans, a bass player friend, and I got on the freeway, 405 freeway, and I wasn't paying attention. Now, the street, Normandy Avenue, I had been looking for in San Fernando Valley and Woodland Hills area since I've been about a month and a half. I've been looking for that street, driving all over, asking people, where's Normandy Avenue? They say, I don't know. And so I drove to the airport to pick my friend up. Coming back, I got on the freeway, and we're laughing and talking. I'm not paying attention. I got turned off on the wrong freeway and went off on, I think, the 10th freeway. And then I'm talking, I say, wait a minute, Lawrence, I don't recognize anything. I don't know where we are. We can't get home, man. What are we going to do? And he was like, laughing. He said, man, this is crazy. I look up, and there's a sign that says Normandy Avenue, the street I've been looking for like a month and a half. It's right there. I said, Normandy Avenue. I took the wheel and really, I went like a turn across 4 lanes of freeway traffic.
Wow.
No cars were coming. I figured if I'm going to miss that exit, I may not never find it again. I've been looking for it. I get off the exit, and he's punching me on the arm. Man, you could have killed us. You could have killed us. I said, I had to get this street. I know if I may not find it again. I've been looking for the street. So we get to the light. Now, I've been looking for this guy for a month and a half out here. Get to the light. And Normandy Avenue, I figured runs miles and miles, and it does. And I say, which way should I turn? I'm going to turn left. And I asked my friend, something told me, ask Lawrence. I said, Lawrence, which way you think I should turn? And he said, I don't know, turn right, good a way as any. Now, this house was all along for like 30, 40 miles, Normandy Avenue. And he said, turn right. So I got out of the left lane. I was going to go this way. Now, this is important in the story. I was going to go left this way. He said, turn right. So I cut across that other lane, turned, went about 100 feet to the traffic light, and stopped at the light. And we talking, and all of a sudden say, wait, SugarFoot. Hit me on and said, there's James on the payphone. The guy I'm looking for, his name James McField. Of all the times of the day, of all the days of the week, for me to get lost on the freeway and find the person I've been looking for a month and a half, and he happens to be on the payphone talking to someone. And I could have turned left. Remember, I was going to turn left. Right there on this way. I would have missed him. Something voice in me said, ask Lawrence. And I asked my friend Lawrence. He said, turn right. I turned right, and there he was. And he had been telling the Jacksons about me for years. And even when I was still staying in New Orleans, every time he come through, he invite me to the Jackson show. I go, and he said, I said, man, if they ever need a drummer, let me know. And so he said, don't worry, I've been talking about you a lot. You just got to come to California. So he's on the phone, and he said, SugarFoot. He said, meet me in the block. I went to his house. We both went to the house, and we talked, and he said, we just got back from Trinidad. It was incredible. We played on the beach. And I'm like, ooh, this is incredible. This playing on the beach. Jackson's played a concert, big concert. And he's telling me all these stories. We got back from Europe, and I'm getting more and more excited. And then I say, wait a minute, James, wait a minute. If the Jacksons ever need a drummer, tell them I'm available. And I just got out here, and I'd love to play with them. He grabbed my arm tight and said, oh, SugarFoot, I forgot to tell you. I said, what? He said, they fired their drummer, and they're auditioning drummers right now.
Wow.
So if I had to run into this guy the next day, wait a minute, this is the thing. He's auditioning drummers right now. He said, I have to go to rehearsal tonight for the last drummer to audition tonight. They've been doing it for 2 weeks. And I said, oh, wait. I said, do they have anybody they really like? He said, they got one guy, but they're not 100% sold on him. I said, but please just tell them that the drummer you've been talking about to them is in town. All I ask for is a chance. He said, okay, I'll go there and I'll talk to the brothers. I'll see if they will extend it a day. So I was really excited, and if I would have come the day, if it happened the day after then, the other drummer would have got it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if I would have passed that corner, 1 minute, and he left the phone and went home, I would never know he was there. If I got there 10 minutes before he got there, he would have come out of the house and got on that phone. I would have never seen him. And I'm looking for the street for a month and a half, and God put me on that street by him, right next to him.
That was destiny. That was destiny.
And he said, I'll talk to the brothers tonight, and I'll see if they would extend it. I can't promise you. I'll see if they extend it and stuff. I said, one more thing, James, one more thing. He said, what? how do you get back to Woodland Hills? I don't know how to get home. I did like that. I don't know how to get there. He started laughing. He told me how to get there and wrote it out for me so I could get back to where I was staying. But also he said, I'll call you tonight and I'll tell you what they say. And of course I was wearing the carpet out, going back and forth, pacing, waiting for the phone to ring. Finally around 11 something at night, he called and said, be at mother's house 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. They decided to extend it and give you a chance.
Wow.
If that's not destiny, divine intervention and destiny.
Absolutely.
It is.
That's,
you know, and
you were blessed. You were blessed.
Truly blessed.
Since the beginning. Yeah.
And then the next day, I showed up at mother's house. I played for them. I knew some of this stuff. I knew all this stuff actually, but I hadn't played in years. But I'd play it. And they said, "You're our drummer," just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah, you're our drummer. Go. They said, "You're our drummer. Go talk to Joseph." The dad, Dad Joseph's tough. He's a businessman. He said, "Go talk to Joseph in the yard. He's out waiting for you, and you're our drummer." So I went out to talk to Joseph.
After how many songs did you play? And they said
6 songs. 6 songs. We did, it's about 6 songs. But the clincher song was that new single they had out at the time, "Shake Your Body Down to the Ground," because
Shake Your Body Down to the
ground. I didn't know, because I'm in New Orleans when I learned this beat before I came out, that it was a 3-part overdub beat. They say it was very difficult to get it done at one time. I'm in New Orleans. I got the record. I don't know that. I figure I hear it on the record. The guy's playing the beat. He must have did it all one time. And when they got to that song, Tito Jackson said, "Foot, now can you play 'Shake Your Body Down to the Ground'?" I said, "Yeah, I can play that." And they were like, "What?" And they looking at each other, "What?" And they said, "You can play 'Shake Your Body Down to the Ground'." I said, "Yeah, I can play that." Like nothing. They said, "Really? You got that?" I said, "Yeah, I got it." He said, "Okay, we're gonna see." And none of the other guys who auditioned could play it, all 3 parts at one time. But I had played it in New Orleans for a session I did, but the producer wanted me to rip it off. So I'd learned it already. They didn't know that. I'd already ripped it off and learned it. So when they stopped playing it, I started playing the beat, Pat I Goes, and Randy Jackson, the youngest brother, came walking. He was a drummer too, percussion drummer. He came walking around the drum set and looking like, staring at me like this, like with a strange look, like what the? And I'm like playing and look, I'm saying, "Oh man, I'm messing it up. I will get fired. I'm not going to get it." I'm thinking, and he kept looking at me like this, and he grabbed his head like, "Oh," and he runs off, walks off fast. I said, "I really blew it." I'm like, "I really blew it now. He's running away from me." And then he come back and say, Stop, Foot, stop. And I stopped. I said, "What happened? Am I doing it wrong?" He said, "No, just play it again. Play it again for me. Play that again for me." And he's looking like a puzzled look, and I'm saying, "Man, I really blew it. I'm not gonna get this gig." That's my mind telling me. And so I played it again. He said, No, play it slow, real slow. I played it at speed. And he's a drummer, like I said, he's left-handed. And I started playing it slower and stuff. And he's watching me playing, and he put his hand on his hip and looked at his brothers, and they're like, "What?" And then he walks off again, and "Oh man, I can't believe that." And I said, "What?" I said, "Am I playing it wrong?" He said, No, SugarFoot, you don't understand." I said, "What?" He said, "That's a 3-part overdub. They had to go back and record the basic drums. Then they went back and recorded the hi-hat. Then they went back and recorded the toms. And then you put it together, you got that beat. But you're playing it all at one time." I said, "Oh, really? I thought the guy on the record played it at one time." He said, "No,
wow,
it didn't happen." Like, so
magic.
You do it in stages, and you're doing it all at once. He said, "You're our drummer." He grabbed my shoulder. He said, "You're my drummer. You're our drummer." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And that's when they said, "Go talk to Joseph outside. He's waiting for you." And that's awesome. Something that really clinched it was that song. And I didn't know. I thought the drummer played it all at once. That's why I did it. So that's really made me the Jackson's drummer. And
that's awesome.
And that's the that's the abbreviated story.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine. Let me just tell the guys. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
So, então, galera, ele falou que ele tava na Califórnia há pouco tempo e ele veio atrás de gigs, né? E aí ele estava procurando uma pessoa, tinha passado quase um mês já que ele estava procurando esse cara, e aí tava um dia que eles estavam dentro do carro, na freeway. Se você lembrar de outros detalhes, você fala, tá, Gilson? Porque foi longa pra caralho a resposta. Aí ele falou que ele viu o sinal que ele achava que era, e ele atravessou a freeway, 4 pistas, assim, foi pro lado e tal. Aí o cara ainda ficou puto com ele. Cara, você quase matou a gente, tal, não sei o quê. Aí eles chegaram até o lugar, ele falou, cara, deve ser por aqui, deve ser por aqui. Aí ele falou que ele ia entrar à esquerda e o cara falou, não, entra à direita. Quando ele entrou à direita, ele viu o cara no orelhão, o cara que ele procurava por 40 e poucos dias. Aí ele parou lá e falou com o cara, meu, então, tô procurando gig e tal, não sei o quê. Então, ó, pô, se você souber, né, fala pros caras lá do Jackson 5 que se eles precisarem de batera, né, eu tô aqui. Ele falou, cara, eles estão procurando batera, eles estão fazendo audição e o último dia é hoje. Ele falou, não, por favor, pô, você tem que fazer os caras, eu quero tocar, pô, me dá uma chance e tal. E aí ele conseguiu marcar para ele lá fazer a audição no outro dia, às 3 da tarde. Aí ele sentou lá, pegou a gig imediatamente, né, começou a tocar, os caras falaram, ó, você é o nosso batera. 6 músicas ele tocou. E teve essa música que ele falou, né? Que, tipo, um dos caras que era irmão do Michael Jackson também tocava batera e era canhoto. Aí ele começou a chegar perto dele, assim, olhar o que ele tocava, né? E o Jonathan falou assim, cara, tô fazendo alguma coisa errada, que esse cara tá me olhando. Aí parou tudo. E ele falou assim, toca outra vez. Aí ele começou a tocar. Ele falou, não. Mais lento. Aí ele começou a tocar, ele falou assim, como é que você consegue, cara? Eles, pra fazer esse groove, os caras tocaram 3 vezes. Fizeram só a batida básica, depois o chimbal, depois os tons. E você consegue fazer tudo de uma vez só, entendeu? E aí foi assim que ele conseguiu a gig. Qual que é o nome da música, Gilson? What's the name of that song, Jonathan? Please.
Shake Your Body Down to the Ground.
Shake Your Body to the Ground.
Yeah.
Então, esse é o nome da música. Escutem essa música, que foi essa música que foi a responsável por dar a gig ao Jonathan Moffett. Ok.
You remember all of that? I got good memory. That's incredible memory, man. That's a long explanation. Oh my God.
That was like a real short explanation, you know, just to people know. But I told them that you were blessed, you know. That day was written in some place in the world that you should be there. That's all.
That was my miracle. That was my miracle today. That's a miracle. When it happens like that, it's a miracle.
Então, galera, ele falou que aquilo foi um milagre mesmo. Do jeito que aconteceu, ele se sente muito abençoado porque aquilo foi um milagre mesmo. Okay, so when did you realize that the way you play was different and that delivered a different groove as well?
When I was very young, and I'm thinking the ages when I was about 12, between 12 and 14, I started noticing something. First of all, the way I hear internally, one of the things I have to go back and add, when my father asked us what instrument we want to play, I first wanted to play bass guitar. And so I always loved that full weight of the sound of the bass. And my brothers being older, they got first choice. My other older brother got the guitar. The other one got the bass. And only other instrument I knew was drums. So my dad got to me and said, okay, Jonathan, what do you want to play? I said, I want to play guitar, bass guitar. He said, no, your brother Oren's got that. I said, okay, I'll play guitar. And he said, no, your brother Adrian's got that. You have to play something different. And the only other thing I knew left was drums. I said, okay, I'll play drums. like that. I got drums, come on now. And so, but then I wound up realizing drums were for me. As I got my first lessons and I learned how to put the patterns together, I said, this was challenging. I wound up loving it. And because the teacher would say, you did good. You remember that. That was great. I got the sticking and the very, very basics, the elementary stuff. But as a little kid, 6 years old, you felt like I conquered the world. So it inspired me. And then when I got my drum set piece by piece through the next 4 years, I started learning each element of the kit and developing a sense of knowing how to construct something. And it made me love the challenge of drums and the sounds of all the different notes we have on the times stuff. So anyway, I developed through them years. I started playing in the clubs and playing with other musicians. And then I started realizing from learning the songs, I feel my spirit telling me, no, do it like this, or put this kind of attitude on it, put this kind of voice on it, lay it back a little bit, or hit. What's also important in music, not only the figures and the notes you play, is the dynamics too. the articulation and dynamics. Hit this beat a little bit harder than the other one, sharper, persistent. And when you start adding on these dynamics like visual scales, sonic visual scales, playing and performance, you get a three-dimensional rhythm going on. So I started knowing that early in my life, at 10, 11, 12 years old. And I started really developing and manipulating that at 12 to 14, coming up with the feel. So to go back to the bass part, I wanted to play bass. What I did was took the desire to be a bass player. And when I listened to a song, not only did I listen to the bass drum part of the rhythm that the drummer was playing, I listened to the bass player playing them notes, like especially the James Jamerson Motown record. He's playing them fast notes, fingered notes. And I would use that, mimic the bass drum part of the drummer's playing, adding the bass line that the bass player is playing. So I had not conscious, I'm going to be the fastest bass drum player in the world, nothing like that. I said, I hear this, those two together. I'm going to learn those two together and develop and execute them together, the pattern with one foot. And so I got this name SugarFoot because I can do that. I spent time developing it. So your foot is fast and you can do all these patterns. It's because I would desire to be a bass player and I was playing the bass parts and the bass drum part at the same time and everything around it. So
who gave you that nickname? Was it Michael Jackson?
No. Everybody think it was Michael. It was actually my brother's band. We were playing, I said, at 10 years old in nightclubs. There was only one club would let me play that at 10 years old. The rest of them stuck to the law. They said, no, you can't play there. So they fired me. My brother's band fired their own little brother. They fired me. And the second band I joined, I didn't want to join them, but they said, we love you. We saw you with the brother's band. The Cavaliers was the name of the band, the Cavaliers. We saw you with the Cavaliers. We want you to be in our band. And I went to audition for them. And I started playing the song with all the extra bass drum stuff. They said, man, you got a sweet foot. And the leader of the band said, Curtis, he said, man, everybody in the band has nicknames. Everybody got nicknames. We got to come up with a good nickname for you. He's thinking, he said, I know you got that fast, sweet foot. We're going to call you SugarFoot. But you got a sweet foot. I said,
That's why I got confused when you were talking with the agent of Jackson 5, and he was calling you SugarFoot already.
Yeah.
So that was whoa. So that was not Michael Jackson who gave him the nickname.
I was 12 years old. So that would make it 1966. I got that name from the leader of the band called the Spectrum, was the band Spectrum. Curtis Barrett, he gave me that name, and I said, SugarFoot. I don't want that name. I'm not. And they say,
but that was too late already.
At that moment, he said, he told me, you're not getting away from you, SugarFoot. I said, no, I was hoping for a name like cool name, like Duke, Tycho, something powerful, man. I said, I don't want to be that. I'm not SugarFoot. He said, yeah, you SugarFoot. I said, awesome. I did like a little boy. I'm not answering that. And he said, every time we play a club, I'm gonna announce you as SugarFoot, and I'm not gonna say Jonathan Moffett, so nobody gonna know who Jonathan Moffett is. All they gonna know is SugarFoot. I'm not gonna answer it. He did that, and it started spreading around the city. Everybody walking down the street shopping, they say, "Hey, SugarFoot," across the street. I look and I say, "No, I'm not answering that.
I'm not that."
And I couldn't. I was trying to ignore it, but it got so popular in New Orleans, I had to start acknowledging it. And I accepted it later on, maybe a year or two later. I just started saying, "Oh, how y'all doing?" But I want to be Duke. I want to be Duke, man. Come on, make me Duke.
That's cool.
Strong, man.
Galera.
So it spread, and it got out to California, and people began to know me as SugarFoot, and I started using it more, and it's cool now. It's cool now,
yeah. Então, galera, ele falou o seguinte, né? Eu perguntei para ele quando foi que ele começou a perceber que o groove dele era diferente, que ele entregava um groove diferente. Ele falou que foi muito cedo, assim, com 12 anos, tal, ele percebia que ele tinha essa coisa do groove mesmo, né? E aí eu emendei e perguntei ali para ele se quem tinha dado o apelido de SugarFoot tinha sido o Michael Jackson. Ele falou que não. E por isso que eu falei para ele até assim, falei assim, cara, por isso que eu achei estranho que quando você estava falando com o agente que te conseguiu a audição com o Michael Jackson, ele já te chamava de SugarFoot. Então eu pensei assim, bom, então esse apelido vem de antes. E ele falou que todo mundo acha que foi o Michael Jackson que deu esse apelido para ele, e na verdade não foi.
Acabamos de desmistificar a lenda.
Exatamente, a lenda. Foi o líder da banda Spectrum que deu para ele, porque ele falou assim que todo mundo nessa banda tem apelido e a gente tem que te arrumar um apelido. E ele falou assim que os caras começaram a ver que eu prestava muita atenção no baixo, que eu linkava os instrumentos junto com a bateria e tal. Estava assim, cara, esse cara tem o pezinho doce, não é o pé podre, não é o pezinho podre doce, o pezinho doce, né? O pé doce. Então aí ele falou, não, pô, eu não quero que você me chame disso, eu não gosto. Não, você vai ser... eu gostaria de um nome mais legal, tipo Duque, assim, não, você vai ser o pezinho doce, e acabou. E aí ele passou tipo uns 2 anos assim, não respondendo, as pessoas passavam para ele, e aí, pezinho doce, pezinho, ele eu não vou responder esses caras não, mas hoje, né, aí ele aceitou e foi tudo sensacional, como tem sido. Essa era a pergunta 6, né? Eu ia falar assim,
ele arruinou a pergunta 6.
Então vamos lá para the next question. Thank you. That was awesome because I thought that Michael Jackson, like, was the guy who gave you that nickname. But that was really cool to know.
It's all over the place. Everybody think Michael's name means SugarFoot, and it's not him.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
That's cool. Okay. Madonna, George Michael, Elton John, Steve Wonder, Diana Ross, and Quincy Jones. What's the secret to pleasing so many top artists with such different styles?
It's becoming, if you're going to work with an artist, it's very important that you become the drummer that was on the record. Not only the part that he figures that he played, but you have to capture his spirit, his soul speak, meaning how he voiced it. You have to capture and listen to, once again, his articulation, his expression, his finesse of how he approached it, that fit in that song so well that helped make it a hit record. So I would be like a chameleon, and I would become this person of every artist. Like Stevie, I try to play it. Stevie played on a lot of his records. It's really loose and stuff. I try to become that loose, flowing thing with a certain voice. I try to become his voice, and but with everything I do is with more power. I think studying the rock drummers, I love their power. They commanded the drum set. They were the god of the drum set. They were the commander in chief of the band. I loved having that responsibility because, as you know, it's a great responsibility. We drummers take on a lot. We carry the band, and they're counting on us. And one of my main things is I never want to let an artist or the band that I'm working with down. So I don't like excuses. So I everything I can to make it the ultimate experience. And by learning exactly the record of Michael's music and becoming the drummers that played on different drummers on different songs. But I try to be that feel for each song, and I add my own spirit and soul to that. And more importantly, I add my intensity and my power and my focus and energy to every single hit, kick drum, snare drum, hi-hat, and then I add my own dynamics to it. I magnified the dynamics that they played the record with it. I amplified them and magnify it and use a bit more finesse. That the way I hear things is with a lot of finesse. And it's the way you stroke and the way you hit, or when you come off a beat, how you go into a beat, whether you lead or you play a little bit behind and make it swing. So those elements, that the artist I work with, Madonna, same thing. She let me command more. I played on her hit record, but then it came time to do the live stuff. I added more power and intensity. Played what I played, play with the feeling, voice, and attitude, but I add super energy to it. Every single beat, especially snare drum beat, has got to be the same intensity. I have to become like a drum machine. Like the power, you don't unplug it. The power is gonna be the same, consistent all the way through. My snare's got to be that. My kick drum's got to be that. If I want that, unless I want to play with dynamics. Then one beat is gonna be a little bit softer, leading into another beat, setting up another hit. That's the dynamics of things that create the feel and the flow. But it's in a certain realm of energy and power. You have to sit from the beginning of the song to the end of the song, from the beginning of the show
to the end of the show. Yeah.
Yes, and at the end of the show, I have more power than I started with, because I'm like like working out, and like when I'm working on a drum, I get more intense, and I don't use a fan. I hate fans. I'm a real man. I want to work, and I want to work hard and intense, because the only way to get better is to push yourself and put yourself in really stressful, trying situations, that the next time you mount your drum set, I will be able to play it stronger than I played the night before, and it's strong every single night, and I can endure and last and not be tired at the end. So my endurance and my stamina and my tolerance for pain and stress and fatigue is overcome by my will, my spirit to drive on and thrive on, and at the end of the show be more powerful than I was in the beginning of the show. It's a conscious thing that I strive for. And I think they hire me because they see those elements in me that they know will make this show great, and that they want the show to be, and that I can replicate what's on the record, and then bring it to a live show element of power and intensity and expression. Because I do my little showboat stuff like that, you know, my all that stuff to make it exciting. Because guess what? People pay at a show, stadium or arena, club, whatever, they pay to hear and see something. Otherwise, they can get home and put the CD on and hear it. But you got to bring them something a little bit more. So I developed my own vocabulary of physical things to make it like art ballet on the drums. When I swing my arms, a certain flow of patterns that I go with, front to back like this. I go front to back, and sometimes I go back first to front. Then sometimes I go like this, bam, bam. Sometimes I go like dang. So I develop a certain choreography and make it musical at the same time, on top of the hit and catch. All those things are to entertain the audience. They did to see Michael, but guess what? One person might be watching the drummer. I want to give him something. I want to be part of the show, and I want him to say that the drummer wasn't slack, and he put on the show like Michael did, and fit right in. And it's very important to me to contribute to the whole of the show, rather than just be like playing the beats and patterns in the dark or in the light. And I'm just playing the basic stuff. I want to be exciting just as much as Michael is exciting and thrilling to watch, or Madonna, you know, or Elton John. I want to be a part of this show. I don't want to be just the drummer. That's a bad term for us drummers. Just the drummer. I don't want that applied to me. I want to be more than just the drummer. I want to be an element of excitement for the show that people pay to come see, and I want to contribute my part. So I think they see those things in me, and I consider myself, like you should, and I think you do. I'm not a drummer. I'm a drum artist, and I've developed my career, my life, my career on drums. I'm an artist. I'm not just a drummer. It's not a bad word. I've developed myself, my skills to more than just a drummer. You're hiring an artist, a drum artist. And I feel the same way when I watch you play. I feel the same way, and I know you know the mentality of that. We invest so much. Welcome, so much of our mindset, our spirit set, and our soul and spirit to this, and we've developed our skills to the degree that we're entertaining. That's why I say every time I watch your videos, like, whoa, I'm blown away. The way you do things is pretty incredible, and that's your voice, and that's you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody can do that like that. You spent the time, you develop it, mind, spirit, and physicality. And that's what the artists looking for, somebody special like us, you know, and like there's several other ones, our friends and peers. But this is for the ones the drummers are trying to come up. They're looking at this and they're trying to find out, like the questions are, how do you get there? So I'm explain these things, that this is the way, the methods to get there. And you develop something that they want, and that's different from somebody else, that they will call you instead of somebody else.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, let me tell people, because this is really important.
Yes.
Gilson?
May I do a complimentary question here?
Yeah, sure.
You just talked about learning the songs from the artists. You just worked with Michael Jackson in live performance. Is that right?
Yes, I don't do the records.
Why didn't you record any of his solo albums?
Because there's a mindset in Hollywood, not every artist that has it, but especially when I came out in January 79, during that period of time and through the 80s, there's a certain, that I found out through Hollywood, there's a certain mentality or outlook on musicians and mindset is that there are your recording studio musicians, or good at doing that. There are your live.
Okay.
And then, so you call them when you're doing a record, you call your recording studio musicians.
Okay.
These guys can do it, but then their framework of mindset of thinking, they feel these are the guys for that.
Okay.
I give you a chance because they say no, he's live drummer. He don't do studio stuff that much, So we got this guy. These are trusted guys. Or they try to get a gig doing live. They say no, he's studio. He can't do the live stuff. It's the mentality that Hollywood had. And Madonna though let me do the records and the live. Madonna would do that, so I did both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
cool.
but at the Jacksons at the time had the mentality that the live drummers were different from the studio drummers, and they spread the work around, so to speak. The studio drummers and musicians get to work, and then they got the live people. They get some work, so everybody gets work. But it's just a false mentality because you can do both. Like Madonna proved, I can do both, and I hit records with Madonna. I did hit concerts with her, but Michael had this thing. He just felt like live studio musicians were for the records. And the other part of that is Carter who producing the record.
Yeah.
He has control. Like Quincy had control. He had his crew of guys. Trust me, it incredible work. You see the results from the sales, and the airplay Michael stuff Quincy produced, and all the other ones, Ted Riley and all of them, is amazing stuff. Some of that is drum machine program stuff, and some of it is the other is their drummers, their friends that they use. They use their crew. And so I'm not the crew, so they don't use me. So I go do what I have to call, yeah.
Cool. Gilson, você quer? Traduz essa parte que daí eu traduzo a outra que eu perguntei.
O Aquiles tinha perguntado antes como... qual era aquela pergunta ali depois do nickname? O segredo, né, para trabalhar com tantos diferentes artistas e tal, né? Você quer comentar sobre isso aqui?
Exatamente. Eu peguei e citei assim, Madonna, George Michael, Elton John, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross e o Quincy Jones, né? Qual era o segredo que ele tinha para agradar tantas pessoas de estilos diferentes? Aí ele falava assim, eu me tornava o artista do disco. Né? Então isso mostrava que ele não tinha gravado o disco, mas aí ele falou assim, o Stevie Wonder tinha muitos discos que ele gravava e era um jeito muito solto de tocar e eu tinha que simular aquilo e colocar um pouco do meu tempero na forma que eu toco, né? E ele falou assim, né? Resumindo, porque senão a gente não vai conseguir falar muito mais, mas ele falou assim, eu nunca quis ser somente o baterista, né? Eu sempre quis ser um astro da bateria, um artista da bateria, né? E aí eu vou puxar a sardinha pro meu lado, né? Vou fazer um abuso de estrutura, porque não é sempre que se recebe um elogio do SugarFoot, assim, e ele falou assim, eu sei que você entende o que eu tô falando, porque você é assim também, né? Então, aí eu agradeci ele e tal, ele ficou, de nada, obrigado, aquelas cortesiazinhas de shopping e tal. Então, basicamente, ele fala assim, né, cara, que ele escuta o artista, né, e ele, tipo assim, ele entrega o que o cara quer. E essa vai ser a próxima pergunta que eu vou fazer para ele, depois que o Gilson traduziu que ele complementou aí.
Então eu aproveitei a pergunta para saber se ele realmente não tinha gravado nenhum disco do Michael Jackson, e ele disse que realmente essa era a mentalidade da época, e desde os Jackson 5 eles tinham sempre um time que estava em estúdio e um time que estava ao vivo, porque se acreditava que tinha músicos que eram para estúdio, músicos que eram para ao vivo, mas ele já provou isso ao longo dos anos, de que ele poderia ter feito os dois trabalhos, mas de qualquer maneira todo mundo saía feliz, porque o pessoal gravava, o pessoal tocava, então todo mundo saía feliz, mas ele, por exemplo, citou a Madonna, que com a Madonna ele tinha vários discos e também tocava ao vivo.
Okay, so you played with this big artist. Were you the guy, like in the 80s and in the beginning of the 90s, were you the guy that was always like waiting for the next party, or like to hang out with people when you are touring, drinking, like enjoying the party? Or you were a guy that you were saying, no, I'm here to work and I need to preserve myself as a drum artist. I can hang with people, but I don't want to do that much.
I was a different guy. I was the standalone guy in the room when everybody was out. I've all my life. Let me go back and say this. All my life, I've been until now. I'm more extrovert, but when I was young, my mother used to always say, "You're introverts. We couldn't find you half the time. You'd be so quiet. You'd be hiding in the closet. You'd be hiding under the bed because I just playing with my men. I was more inside. My world was inside. I was quiet, and I had my own life and style and self-control. So that carried me forward throughout my life, and that I wasn't a partier. First of all, I don't drink. Never drank alcohol in my life.
Really, at all?
I don't know what it tastes like. Only one time, not one time, on Easter Sunday. My father was a tough guy. He was like he was like how should I say it? A Roman attitude of a Roman warrior, and he like command, or like he was almost like the Godfather. The table, everybody's going to take a toast here on Easter Sunday for dinner. He put that little cheap wine and Morgan David wine in there in the class, and you had to do it. I had no choice. I said, "No, I don't want to do it." He said, "Put that glass to your lips, or else." And I put he said, "Just let it touch your lips." That's the only liquor that's touched my lips. I let it touch the lips and then wipe it off. He said it was a ceremonial thing. He wanted to command the family, so I never drank in my life other than that.
Okay, but did you have that kind of situation where one of the artists that you were touring with, they were toasting with champagne or something like that, and you had to make that toast, or you are just pretending?
Everybody everywhere I knew I didn't drink.
That's cool.
I'm talking about, I'm 65, 66 in November. All my life I never drink. Nothing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's why you keep in shape and you are able to play with this power that you have been playing for over like 60 years.
I grew up in bars. Look, I grew up in bars since I was 10 years old. But my mother used to tell him, he can do it. My mother and father said, but as long as he don't go by the bar. So she didn't want me to start drinking. But it was just a personal thing to preserve myself, because I had something great I wanted to do in my mind. I wanted to be where I am now, to be a great drummer and be successful. It was in my mind when a little boy. I knew I could do it. I wanted to do it. And to my mind, I used to read all the comic books, Marvel comic books, and none of the heroes drank, as far as I remember. None of them got drunk. I never saw a drug Thor or a drug. I never went to a Iron Man. So I said, I got to be clean to be powerful like them. I have to be clean. Plus, I wanted to.
But did you have some bad example in the past that you said, I don't want to be like that?
Oh yeah.
Or there was something, or there was something that you just realized, I don't want to drink at all because I can keep my mind safe and I can keep my focus in everything that I want to do.
It was both of those.
Okay.
I used to go to the club as a little boy and watch people stumbling all over the place, and then they started getting into fights, and half of them couldn't defend themselves because they're like, they lose the fight because they're drunk. I said, I don't want to be him. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be her. And they're falling on the ground and stuff. I said, man, this is crazy. Why did they do that to themselves? That was my mentality. But the second part of it was, I felt I wanted to keep my body and my mind clean to be I figured like this. I was mature for my age. My mother told me, to be the best you can be at anything, you have to have full control and awareness of all your faculties, mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical. And that's where you control your life, you manage your life, and nothing can happen to you you don't want to happen to you, because you're aware at all times.
Your mother told you that?
Yes.
When you what
when I was very young.
Your age?
I was very young, and I was like about 5, 6, 7 years. Now she drank beer and stuff, but she didn't drink alcohol. But I watched all that. My mother would drink beer and stuff. She didn't drink hard alcohol and nothing like that. Her friends get drunk, but it was just something in me. I watched all these people, and it's like they can't control themselves. There was a fear in me. I don't like to have control over myself. I want to be aware at all times. I want to be able to defend myself. Anything happens to me, I can do something about it. I don't want to be a punching bag. I don't want to be on the ground, a stomping bag. I don't be a rug, a bear rug, the next bear rug. And at somebody's house. But also, more than that, I wanted to be the best I can be at whatever I chose to be. And that, to me, made sense that I have to be aware all the time, sharp-minded. And from what I saw, you don't get that from drinking alcohol. You can't be that.
That's cool.
So I wanted to be the strongest I could be, being a drummer. People like rely on me. The band relies on me. And you know, the band is as great as the strength of the drummer. And the awareness of the drummer. He's got to be in time. If he lose drunk and the time is going, fast, slow. What good am I? I shouldn't be a drummer. I wanted to be consistent, and every band I work with, they say, man, and look, all the band members would be drunk and tore up, high and stuff. But I'll be the one thing they say we can do what we want because we know SugarFoot's gonna be right there with the time, and he's clear. And I used to have to protect them because they get drunk and beat up, and I had to stop there, because I'm the one that see what's going on. They can't help themselves. So I was like the bodyguard. Cool. Be the bands, the bodyguard, the chaperones.
Do you think that with all these big names that you play, they were talking about this kind of behavior that you had in the past? Like you can hire SugarFoot because he's the guy that keeps his mind totally safe. You know, he's the right guy. He never get in trouble. He's always on time. Do you think that that was important for your career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They spend a lot of money on you. They got to count on you. You know, they pay you well. They take care of you. They have you in their organization. They only hire dependable people. And if they find out you're not dependable, you're out and the next guy is in. So I never wanted that to be the case. But even more than that, I have a great sense of inner pride, that I want to leave a legacy that people are glad they hired me. I want to please. I have a problem within me. I have this strong desire to want to please people. I want the artists to hire me to be so happy that they hired me. They want to hire me again. I want them to look back in their career at the time I was with them. They say, man, we had SugarFoot in there and it was on. He was always there. He was always aware. He made the show. He lifted the show up. And we're lucky to have him. And I had that in my mind that I want to walk away from every gig with that artist feeling like, I'm so glad I had you. And you meant the show. You made the show happen. And there was a certain gratification thing I got from that, because I realized I can make people happy. I can make people glad that I'm around. I can make people want to have me around. And that is rewarding. When you think about it spiritually, that's rewarding to me. That's how I get paid. That's why, other than monetary, I get paid by those experiences where artists tell me those kind of things, you know? So, and yes, it got around and I was reliable. So other artists hired me. And I take their show, each one of them show, as if Jonathan Moffett was on the marquee. It was my show. I take that seriously. This is my show, and I'm going to give 100,000% of me. As long as that hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, Elton shows were sometimes 4.5 hours. That period of time, I belong to that show. My mind doesn't go anywhere on bills or problem with my lady or nothing like that. What the kids doing? I wonder what they're doing. Or my foot hurt. My foot hurt. I block all of that out. I develop a strong sense of focus and concentration to see through all of that to the task at hand. The snare drum, the kick drum, the hi-hat, the cymbals, the toms, and the beat as a whole. That's where the whole of Jonathan Moffett is on every single song of that, every single show I've done. And they know it and they feel it. And that's why they would call me back. They didn't have to tell me.
Awesome.
But because I didn't drink, nobody ever tried to make me drink. You know, like sometimes they say, oh man, come on.
Come on. Yeah, try.
They see that I'm adamant and they respect it. I found that I used to have a fear that they would try to make me drink or smoke. I never smoked in my life. I never smoked cigarettes in my life either.
Yeah, me neither.
And I never did drugs.
I never took any kind of drugs at all. Nothing.
No, zero.
Yeah.
Zero drugs in my life. And people wonder, how you going to be a club at 10 years old and be like this? There's drinks here and there that I had. And I've been that way. And I'm proud that I was able to uphold my moral stance and things like that. And also, they spread around. Everybody knew I was like that. So they wanted to call me. Because like I said, you and I, whoever you're playing with, their show is in your hands. Their show is in my hands.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If something happens to me, that show shuts down. And in the middle of the show, who are they going to get to do that show? I know the weight of that responsibility. It is heavy. And I know it. It's not on Michael. Who you think Michael paid to see Michael? He used to get $2.5 million a show. the way that show, yeah,
wow,
and history too. The way that show, people think it's really on Michael. Yes, he is it. He's the one. He's the star. But let the drummer go out in the middle of his song.
I know.
Let the drummer
stop the show.
Who are they going to get? Who are they going to send for in the middle of that show in Chicago, whatever, to save that show? There is no one. That show. What do you do for drums for the rest of the show? I know the importance of that, the weight that I carry, the weight you carry when you play with somebody. You know that is important. That's why you're doing so well, because you take it as the most important thing in your life at that time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is what the drummers got to get, that kind of mentality and mindset, especially as a drummer. All musicians should have this, but especially the drummers, because their entire show and tour is in our hands. Absolutely. And I like that weight. I like the pressure. I love it. Gladly. Most people run from it. I want it. Put it on my shoulders. I will carry it.
Yeah.
I will not let you down.
I say in all my clinics and when I'm talking to people that the drummer is the most important artist in the band, because if the guitar player stop playing, or if the keyboard player stop playing, or the artist, if we spell like wrong lyrics wherever, the song keep going. That if the drummer stops, everyone else look to the back at the stage, say, okay, what you gonna do now?
And everybody stops.
Exactly.
We're good at the guitar part, the bass part, the keyboard part, but there are no drums underneath. It sounds crazy. And another thing is, excuse me. Another thing I was going to say, I lost my train of thought. It was like it was in that mind frame set that they're counting on us so much. I lost my train of thought. It's very important too. I was thinking too fast, but it was on thing being important.
Yeah, we were talking about like how important is the drummer for the show, because if the drummer stops, the show is gone.
And they have to cancel the show, rest of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so the weight that we carry and the importance that we take on, the responsibility that we take on, is a heavy burden. And I know it. Some drummers are intimidated by it, and some, not only drummers, we talk about drummers carrying the weight. So yes, drummers are intimidated by it. Some of them can't live up to it. A lot can. But on the level that I try to put out on extending my abilities every night, pushing myself beyond the limited energy-wise, and because I've worked on these things since I was young, and I used to practice like we do, rhythms and stuff, learning songs. But you know what I used to practice mentally and on purpose? I used to practice energy, hit, the strength of a hit, the power, the authority, and more importantly, the endurance, the stamina you have to be a drummer to carry the weight of the show. Especially when I heard it with that. Every song is powerful. You can't get tired on for the next song because you use all the energy up on that song. So you got to lighten up the next song. You got to extend your durability, and you got to have the whole show. I worked on that as a kid. I practiced.
That's awesome.
I just hit anything on a kid in the room. I hit any beat and I start. I wouldn't stop till like an hour and a half later. Extending one thing, transitioning to another thing to try and develop my stamina, my tolerance, tolerance to fatigue, to stress, to aching arm. Your arms start hurting, but I'm gonna push past it. My secret to doing that. This arm start feeling some tiredness. You switch. It's up here. You switch your focus of your arm. You tend to gravitate your mindset to this arm is hurting. Oh, this is kind of hurting. I'm going to think about this arm and what it's doing. I'm going to switch my foot. I can switch my mindset to what is my foot doing? And I focus on that mentally, and I don't feel the arm hurting as much. And so what you focus on is going to be the subject, what your state of being is. I learned to do that. If my hand doing 16s going like this, start hurting, I turn it over. I learned how to work it like this for a while, buy some time, but then my strength is back to this. So I'm rotating my wrist on 16 notes. So I'm always going like this. So that extends me instead of stopping and doing quarter notes, 8 notes. I keep going because you're using different ligaments in your wrist. Every time you turn,
that's awesome.
A different set of muscles, ligaments come into play that wasn't activating when you're doing this. It's resting. When I do like this, these ligaments are being active. These are getting rest. and get some recuperation, you know what I'm saying? So I learned little things like that just by watching and paying attention to what I was doing. The same thing with my foot, you know. I learned elements of the human body that you do when you explore yourself. And it's very important to explore oneself.
That's awesome. Galera, ele falou o seguinte, ele falou pra caralho, mas eu vou resumir just a little bit. Ele falou, eu perguntei para ele, né, se nos anos 80, no começo dos anos 90, se ele gostava de uma festinha no backstage, se ele gostava de uma bebidinha e tal. Ele falou, não, nunca bebi nada, sou um cara super, né, e eu perguntei se era importante para ele a imagem que as pessoas iam ter dele como um cara que trabalhava a sério e tal. Ele falou assim, cara, é exatamente isso, entendeu? E eu também falei se ele achava importante que essa imagem as pessoas depois iam falar, né, pô, é legal chamar o SugarFoot, porque ele não bebe, então a consistência lá no show tá lá, o cara não se mete em confusão, tá sempre no horário, e ele falou que isso é importante pra caralho, porque as pessoas falam, né, as pessoas da indústria falam, e ele falou, porra, tipo um show do Michael Jackson a 2,5 milhões, e eu não queria botar aquilo a perder, e ele sentia essa pressão, né, mas ele gostava disso, porque ele se sentia pronto para atuar naquele nível de estresse, né, e ele é um cara que ele nunca bebeu, nunca fumou, e isso foi através da mãe dele, falando quando ele tinha 6 ou 7 anos, falou, ó, se você beber, você não vai ter controle das coisas que você quer fazer. E ele sempre quis ter controle de tudo que ele fazia, e ele via nos bares, os caras meio bêbados, bebendo, e aí brigando e caindo, e ele via aquilo e ele não gostava que ele queria ter controle dele, né, das coisas que ele ia fazer. Então, ele falou que nunca usou drogas, nada, tal, não sei o quê, e que eu perguntei, né, se ele tinha tido exemplos, tal, né, exemplos ruins, e ele falou assim, cara, tipo, eu vi as pessoas lá nos bares, né, caindo de bêbado, e eu via que eles não tinham controle, e eu sempre fui um cara que eu quis ter controle sobre os meus atos. O que ele falou mais no final, Gilson, ali, depois do... Ele falou mais alguma coisa além disso?
Eu aqui, não estava acompanhando o superchat aqui.
Acabou a festa. Tá, então é mais ou menos isso aí. So, Jonathan, between Michael Jackson and Madonna, who was the most detailed as artist? The guy that was real paying attention in everything in the show, not just the dancers, not just about the voice, but about the full show, everything, lights, band, everything.
I think they were both equally attentive to every aspect. But that's why Michael is the king of pop, and that's why Madonna was the queen of pop, because they had equal mentality. They were on that conscious level of mentality and all the small things and large things that it took to be there, and that gained the attention of the industry, because everybody was trying to be like Michael in production and his music, and everybody was trying to, on the female side, trying to be like better Madonna or be up to her level. And that's they were both king and queen of pop, and that's why they were at the level they were, because I should say the ability of them each to focus on and know and understand every element of a show in production, from even down onto the lighting and the sound and everything. They were an integral part of all of that stuff. They dictated, had input in all of those elements. The stage design, of course, they had input on that as well, and final approval. But the costumes, they were two artists that was involved in everything. And
That's awesome.
They controlled and managed everything. They had incredible, powerful people around them, and wardrobe and lighting, light set designer, stage production. They had the best of the best, each one of them, that helped them achieve the vision that they had. But it came from them, and that's why they both set apart from every other artist that's been out there, pretty much, you know.
That's cool.
Make them king and queen of pop.
Yeah, that's cool.
Maybe they should have got married. Some king and queen kids, the princess.
Então, galera, eu perguntei para ele, entre o Michael Jackson e Madonna, quem era o mais detalhista, né? E ele falou que os dois eram exatamente iguais. E para resumir, né, ele falou uma coisa muito legal. É por isso que um é o rei e o outro é a rainha. E que todo mundo queria ser como eles, e eles puxavam as coisas naquele nível, né? Então eles estavam prestando atenção em tudo, mas eles tinham uma equipe muito profissional que eram as pessoas que eles confiavam, mas eles sabiam de tudo o que estava acontecendo, absolutamente tudo. So, where did the conception of the style of playing simulating kung fu strokes come from?
Well, I'd have to say two places. First of all, I was a big fan of Bruce Lee. Like a lot of people, I'm a big fan, and not only because he could chop people up and kick people out, the physical fighting stuff, but no one has noticed in martial arts and kung fu and all the martial arts, Chinese martial arts, Asian martial arts. There's a certain ballet to it, a visual look to it, a pleasing thing, and people gravitate. Yeah, they look at the physicality, the strength, and the power they fight with and stuff. But the movements are artistic. If you look at them when they do Tai Chi and when they do those martial arts, Bruce Lee martial arts, you're seeing like physical ballet and the beauty of the power of self-control. And I loved and admired that. Now, I wanted to learn martial arts and stuff, not that I could chop somebody up and stuff. I wanted to learn it for those reasons and because of the self-discipline that they have. You have to have.
That's amazing.
That's control, self-control, and self-discipline. So I started studying it by watching them. I didn't study with anybody, but people say, you look like you're doing Kung Fu and the symbols and stuff. And in relation to that movement I saw on movies, and I make patterns and create patterns stuff, but it has to make sense at the same time. I can't just be doing anything. And I
Absolutely.
do it. Yeah. I do it in the sense of like, you look like I'm doing my moves all of, but I have my symbols set up in a melodic phrasing setup. Certain pictures or certain places in my setup. I use 16 symbols in my setup. 8 tiers on the top, 8 on the bottom, including splashes on the bottom. 9 on the bottom. Yeah. So, and it's according to which position I'm going to hit, it's got a certain pitch that should be there. It don't have to be there, but it should be there. Because when I play a pattern or something, I already in my head, in my ear, inner ear, I hear the note I'm going to hit. When I do like that, I know what that note's going to be. I do like this on this one, I know what that note's going to be. I do like that on that one, I know what that note's going to be. I do like this on this down lower one, I know what the note's going to be. So what's happening is by identifying placement of notes, I can play songs, I can play melodies. Because it's like playing marimba or something. You know what it is, which bar has got a certain note, you hit it. So I know that's my marimba bars up there. I can hit notes and play melodies and songs through the symbols themselves. And it's just not like just banging on cymbals. I'm playing music. So I have 3 elements of musical instruments in my drum kit. Mm-hmm. The upper tier, the higher parts is which I call the lightning, but it's the melodies of the cymbals. I have enough cymbals I can create melodies. 8 around me up top, and then I got a lower level 8 different pitches, different weights and tones. And then I have on the second level of musicality, that's the first level of musicality, I have my tom. Mm-hmm. As you know, you got all kinds of notes going to use a lot of time. Play music and songs is in the body of the toms. And now I'm using, and I've been doing this since the early 90s, multiple bass drums. So I made 3 bass drums. I do one, of course, if it's all. Most time they don't let me bring one. But now I've been on certain tours. I use 3 bass drums, and there's a reason for it. Not just for the look. The look is cold blooded. You see 3 bass drums up there, and my big setup with 5 bass drums on the big setup. Wow. But yes, because the pitches, just like up top, I got pitches and notes. I got a scale. There's a scale here, and a scale down here. Just think how musical you can be with 3 scales.
That's awesome. Did you ever had problems like regular musicians about your large drum set in some of these productions, or they were totally okay with the space that you are like that you need to have to set up your drum kit?
No, I had a lot of problems with certain artists and production crew mainly, and tour managers who didn't want to bring all those extra cases around because as you got drums, you have cases. Had trouble production budget, always the budget, and then they tell me like, well, it'd be great for you, but you're taking up too much real estate on the stage. They call it real estate. Taking up too much, rubbing like this. Taking up too much real estate on the stage. There's no room. We have to push the bass amps over here. There's too much real estate. No, you can't have 5 bass drums.
It's all the same everywhere. Why?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know you get it with that big old kid.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It blew my mind. You can't blow my mind. But I know you get it. And they tell me to limit me. And this last tour I did was a Cirque du Soleil Michael Jackson Immortal tour. You know, I did 3 years with them. And in the beginning, production rehearsals, I want to have my 3 bass drums. They said, no, you can't have 3. You got to take one of them out. You got to let you have 2. But I said, no, I want to have 3. Look, I want to do this thing. I got to have 3 in my setup. They said, no, we can't have that. We don't even have another channel for your other bass drum. You know, they come up with excuses. You know, they come up with excuses.
Yeah, I know.
And that's how, and then I let the production rehearsals go on, and I'm clever now. And one day I just show up and another bass drum scooted in there somehow. I had to put it in, and I had 3 bass drums, and they wanted to say something, but they know my regard with the estate. I'm very close to this Michael's estate, and anyway, so they wound up saying, "Well, I thought we wasn't going to have 3 bass drum, but okay, I guess if you insist, they let me have it." In other words, so I wound up having the 3 bass drums on that tour. Other tours they wouldn't let me do it. You know, on This Is It, I had on the movie had 3 bass drums. I wanted to have 5. But guess what they said? There's too much room on the stage, too much real estate. They call it real estate. So I had to cut down to 3. Michael, that kid blew Michael's mind. He had 3 bass drums. He said, "Oh my God, that's incredible! I want one just like it. Give me one. Can you get them to make me one like it?" He's like, "I love it. He said, "This should be in the Smithsonian Museum, Smithsonian." He said, "I can get it in there." He was like that. He loved it. So. But I feel melodies and I hear, I like a bit, and you know where that comes from? The multiple bass drums.
No,
I was a little kid. My father's Baptist church used to take us every Sunday to Baptist church, and I was like, 7, 8, 9, and all them years, And I go to church, and they had up top on the balcony, they had a drummer and a B3 organist.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, watch the drummer because I was learning drums. But what fascinated me more because you felt it, you didn't just hear it. That bass off that B3 organ, man, that thing did something. My soul would like a glow would come out of me, and I felt that bass, those bass. That's why I wanted to play bass. So what I would do is lay on the floor by the Leslie, and you hear it whirling around. I love to hear that sound, but I watch his foot going, the bass note, do, and I marveled how he could move his foot around like this and play these patterns and his melodies on the bass. And that's where that multiple bass drum from I was like 6, 7, 8 years old came. Wow. What if as I grew in my early teens, what if I could do that with drums and play the bass foundation of the groove, spread it across instead of on one bass drum, one single note, monotone note, and spread it dynamically across the bass drums and play melodies, whatever be, play simple, complex, or whatever, and play the values of notes with it. Like a melody in a song, like a piano player play a melody, a guitar player play a melody. I want to be able to do that with my bass drums underneath what my snare drum is doing, underneath what my toms are doing, underneath what my cymbals are doing. And that's what I was born from. And so I started messing around the clinics with the D drums at the 5 bass. Time I did the D drums in the mid 90s and blew people's mind and stuff. So and then I did drum channel one time with a 5 bass drum, but we didn't get we have better footage of that one. I don't know why Don and them didn't use we had some better things. Terry Bozo and I did it together, but they didn't use the parts that was the most exciting. I don't know why. And I was able to use the multiple bass drums. So I'm trying to introduce them now. I got my new kit and the 3 bass drum. I'm going to do my own show, Michael's show, using all the bass drums. Now I am in control now. I'm in charge. Let's take all the real estate I want. I'll stay. Cool. So I'm going to start demonstrate my 3 bass drums and eventually my 5 bass drum.
You deserve it. You deserve it. Definitely.
The 5 is the Hydra. 5 bass drums is the Hydra. 3 bass drum is triple threat. So I'm gonna start incorporating them more because I'm doing my thing more now. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Ok. Galera, é o seguinte, eu perguntei para ele como é que ele começou com esse negócio do Kung Fu, né, de pegar aqui e tal. Ele falou que ele começou a perceber, né, que tipo assim, que ele poderia misturar as melodias ali dos pratos, então ele sabe exatamente qual o som em cada prato. Ele tem os 8 pratos em cima, mais 8 embaixo, incluindo ali os splashes, e ele começou a perceber que ele podia fazer movimentos que sincronizavam junto com a música, né, e com as melodias. Então foi basicamente essa ideia dentro daquele conceito, né, que falou, eu não quero ser só o baterista, eu quero ser um artista, né, e com isso ele chama muito mais atenção no show E o artista que se garante, tipo, todos esses caras que ele tocava junto, né? São caras que falam que já são foda, eles querem pessoas foda que têm o estilo, né? Então, ele percebeu isso e acabou se encontrando dessa forma. Aí, no final, eu perguntei para ele, né? Se nessas produções gigantescas, se ele também tinha problemas com o tamanho que a bateria dele ocupava no espaço. E aí ele falou, né? Que sempre tinha. Que tipo assim, eu achei que ele ia falar assim, não, pô, o Michael Jackson, a Madonna, não tem problema nenhum. Mas é que assim, muitas vezes a gente ele não lidava diretamente com o artista, né? Era com o stage manager, era com o manager, era com as pessoas que faziam a logística toda. Então, os caras sempre queriam diminuir o kit. Aí eu até brinquei, né? Porra, isso acontece com todo mundo. Então ele falou, você sabe, você tem um kit grande, você sabe como é que é, né? Por isso que eu resolvi ter o meu micro-ônibus, porque daí eu consigo carregar tudo que é meu e foda-se o resto da banda, e o importante é a bateria. Basicamente isso. So, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
What was it like to play Live Aid with Madonna? Do you think it was one of the most important concerts in the music world?
I 100% agree. It was one of the very most important music concerts, and for the greatest of causes. I mean, to even come up with that idea, and it worked. Then have concerts all around the world, different locations, cities, and the best artists in the business. I thought of it when I heard about Live Aid. Yeah, they're going to do this benefit concert to help people. I said, it was like, okay, this is great. You're going to be at the stadium doing this great thing, and it's really publicized. But it wasn't until I was there and on the stage and saw the people and saw the production, how they're switching from cameras from London to Philadelphia. Yeah. It really hit me the magnitude of what they were doing and what they had planned and what they were doing and what I was a part of. This is going to be historic. And I knew, and I said, my God, this is way grander than anything I could have imagined.
Have you seen that movie Bohemian Rhapsody from Queen?
Yes, so, I have.
So basically I found out how big was that show when I saw that movie, because at that time I was just 14 years old. So I didn't realize how big was that. But now that I watched the movie, I said, wow, that was something big.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
You named the artist that was on that show. It was just an encyclopedia of mega stars. That's
exactly.
Both ends of the world. It's unbelievable. And I was very, very honored and thankful and grateful to my name was somewhere in that list, long list of people involved, and that it was for the greatest of causes, a good cause. And I had fun doing it. And I almost got to play with Zeppelin, because they asked me about playing with Zeppelin. They wound up getting Tony Thompson. But they asked me, what you doing? You want to play something with Zeppelin? I said, yeah. But then somebody said, no, we got Tony doing it. I said, man, it's out of the band. But so I watched on the side of the stage as they were doing something. It was exciting.
That was amazing. So do you have any secret stories you had during Live Aid? Something that you saw backstage that you can share with us?
Actually, nothing. Just a lot of people like ants running around trying to get things to run on time and no disasters. Nothing that I know happened like that was noteworthy to say that's just some newsworthy. I'll tell you something newsworthy, something malfunctioning so bad. Or watch it. Just stars everywhere and crew guys everywhere. I know there's so much to look at because people were buzzing and crossing paths, and like my mind was getting confused. Whoa. There's so much action around in every single area of the stage. The stage was humongous. So it was so much of everything. That's the thing I remember impressed me, and how they can coordinate all of that and get a successful show out of it without any true disasters. And my other thing was that I realized that this was Madonna's. I realized this was Madonna's debut on the biggest scale she could ever debut on, be a part of that. She was just coming out during that time, as a live show. The Virgin tour I did with her in '85 was her first tour, was her very first tour. And after that Virgin tour, we did the Live Aid thing. So that Virgin tour was in the States and stuff like that, but we didn't even go overseas. But to an international audience, the Live Aid was her first true live performance introduction to the world, and she was nervous and stuff. But you know, like me, I was nervous to the degree that I knew all these cameras on us and stuff. But then my remedy for that is don't get, if you get nervous, you're gonna mess up. So I have a mindset say, don't get nervous, just do it how you rehearsed it. Very important. If you rehearsed it at the last rehearsal and it's right, photocopy that and do everything you did when it was right on that last rehearsal. Keep your mindset into that and perform. Do the last rehearsal again. Don't get nervous because this is the show. You got to rehearse you have to rehearse to the degree that you got it so tight during the rehearsal. The show is like another rehearsal. Don't let the word show intimidate you into mistakes and losing your concentration. You do it right, and every time you do it right, you duplicate that the next show. You duplicate that the next show. You get that mindset, you'll be less, the butterflies will start going away, and you start to have more confidence because you know how to mentally treat that stage fright thing or that nervousness that you might normally get, and you'll defeat that fear within you. And you approach it head on. That's my thing. Like being a guy and a man, I said, approach it head on. Come on, let's do this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's time. Let's go.
Okay. Did you ever have like a problem for overplaying a Madonna show? That
No.
she talked to you, hey, you played too much in that part. Nothing ever?
Never ever. Because I know those type of artists that they wanted just like the record. Her and Michael, one of the main things to say, I want it just like my record, unless we tell you to do something different. Excuse me. Now, they trusted me enough because they saw how I function and how I manage myself. And professionally, as well as musically, I manage myself in a way that I discipline myself. And I got chops and stuff, my degree of chops, not compared to yours. It's not because some of the other guys, but I have my own vocabulary of chops. I know if it's not appropriate for Like a Virgin, a song Like a Virgin, you know, it's gonna sound like with a bunch of chops all over the place. So I know it's not appropriate for her music. So why do them? You know, it's not my show. I understand why I'm hired and why I'm there to give them what they want. What they're paying me to do is support them, not just come take over and be a showcase drummer. I'm there to make their show of their presentation, which is very important, come across the way they imagined it, the way they planned it, and the way they see it as them being the star, not me being the star. You know, I'm happy being a support person. I'm thankful for the job and the work, and I'm basically thankful that I be able to do something I love doing for a living. So what if I'm in the back in the dark? Yeah. That's what they threw us in the back in the dark. But I don't cool. I can live in the dark. I can live in the back, and I still have fun. I still love the music I'm playing. One of the things I don't play for anybody I don't like the music. I turn it down.
Yeah, this is and there is no problem to be sit in the dark if you are making money.
Yeah,
if you are having fun, and if you are in a if you are part of an amazing gig with a huge artist, and if you are playing everywhere, that's perfect. Okay, let me tell.
It helps me to add my little colors here and there. In other words, you play this regimented like this. No, they trust me because she's seen me and perform. She got me from the Jacksons. She saw that. And she was at Dodger Stadium on the Jackson Victory Tour, and her manager was Freddie DeMann. She said, "Freddie, that's my drummer right there." He told me, "That's my drummer."
Wow.
So, oh yeah, great. And so that's when he said, "Well, that's good," because when I joined them, her manager was the Jacksons manager. So it was already set up. He said, "Okay, I already got his number. I'll call him." And the next year, she called me for the Virgin Tour, and so she knew how I played and how disciplined I was.
Awesome.
And awesome. So she felt I would be that way with her. That was with everybody I worked with. I didn't overplay. Elton used to try to tell me, "You got to play more." I said, I try to play like not to please him. He said, "No." After rehearsal, he says, "No, Jonathan, play, just play." I said, "I'm trying to play like Nigel did." He said, "Well, okay." I said, "That's why I'll play a little more." And I played a little bit more, really safely. And he stopped again. Time he said, "No, stop." I said, "SugarFoot, play the drums, play. I want you here because of you. I like the way you play. Forget what's on the record. Play with you." And it's important to stay true to the record. but he means open up more freely. I want you here to play you. Don't play Nigel. Don't play the stuff. Play you. That's why you're here. If I want to see Nigel still out of heart, Nigel back, I want your feel, your style. But I always respected Nigel's work, so I try to give him compliment, play what he played on the record, because that's what help make it successful. He said, no, forget that. Play you. So he was the artist that told me, stop being safe. Play out. Play out. This only artist told me that. But other ones I just knew to play safe, play discipline. Because this is one very important lesson I'm going to tell you too. Tell all the drummers and musicians. You don't think of it. Because I play discipline. And this is very important about that word. Discipline is a power. Discipline is power. When you learn to control yourself from an impulse and you'll suppress it not to do something, you'll keep your gig. You'll keep you working and stuff. You have self-control and people will respect you for what you don't play as much as what you play. Discipline is power. Musicians and people have to develop that. To play what's appropriate and not, you can play a little bit more, but not too much more where it gets in the way of the lyrics, especially a singer lyrics. So learn discipline and how to self-control yourself, to hold back all them feels you be hearing in your head all over the place. In the middle of, Billie Jean, come on. I hear a lot of stuff in Billie Jean, but it's not necessary for the song. Play discipline, learn to hold those things, impulses back. We all have them. But when you get to learn and control that, then you mastered your craft by learning discipline.
That's awesome. Let me tell the guys. Eu perguntei para ele como foi tocar no Live Aid com a Madonna e se ele acha que aquele show foi um dos mais importantes da indústria da música no mundo. E ele falou que sim, né, que a causa foi incrível, né? E aí eu ainda perguntei se ele viu o filme do Queen, né? E ele falou que sim. E aí eu disse, eu só entendi a magnitude daquele show agora no filme, porque eu vi tudo que eles fizeram. Naquela época eu era muito novo. Ele falou, não, mas naquela época já foi incrível porque a gente ficou sabendo que ia ser transmitido mundialmente para um monte de lugares e a arrecadação da grana foi brutal, né? Aí eu perguntei para ele, né, se alguma vez ele foi chamado a atenção da Madonna por ter tocado a mais, né? E ele falou que nunca, porque ele sempre foi muito disciplinado e que aí depois, no final, ele disse que a Madonna viu ele tocando com os Jackson 5 e ela falou pro empresário dela, né? Aquele ali é meu batera, eu quero que você chame ele e tal. Então, quando ele chegou na gig dela, ela já sabia como que ele tocava, né? E que mesmo assim, ele sempre respeitava. E ele falou que muitos bateras, muitos artistas de forma geral, quando falam em show, o show dá uma tremedeira, assim, especialmente num show grande e importante, quando tem muitas bandas. E aí ela sempre acalmava eles, falando assim, faz o que você fez no ensaio. Toque igual o ensaio e esquece que é um show. Esquece essa palavra, só duplica o que você fez no ensaio, no último ensaio, e depois, se nesse show for bom, você continua replicando o mesmo show sempre, que você está seguro. E aí ele falou, no final aqui, que o único artista que pedia para ele tocar mais era o Elton John, que falava, não, toca mais. Aí ele ia lá, dava uma ciscadinha ali a mais, tal, de uma forma segura, e aí o Elton John falava, não, toca mais, toca mais, toca mais, toca mais. Então ele foi o único artista que ficava dando essa liberdade, mas ele, como ele sempre foi um cara super disciplinado, né, e metódico, ele sabia o que significava esse toca mais, ele nunca atrapalhava as letras, as estrofes, ele sempre respeitava isso porque era a forma que ele via a música, através da disciplina. E tem uma frase dele que é matadora, né? Disciplina é poder. É isso aí.
Ele agitava, né?
Ele agitava, mas agitava no seu lugar. I just told the people that you said a sentence that is really important, like discipline is power. This is really cool. This is really cool. This is really cool.
Self-control.
Okay. So the next question is yours, Gilson.
Yay. It's about your drum kit. Your drum kit has always drew a lot of attention, especially with those symbols on your back. What significant changes have you made on your equipment over the years?
What changes?
Yeah.
Actually, only thing was changed over the last, say, 20 years, 30 years, is I added the extra bass drums. I've added, my cymbals array has grown somewhat. I used to, in the 80s, have 10 cymbals. And that was a lot for a lot of drummers. Then it grew to 12, then it grew to 14, then it grew to 15, then it grew to, now it's at 16 cymbals. So I might be able to find a space for one more cymbal. But no, that's enough cymbals. But I added, no, so I've grown into 16 cymbals, and then I've been exploring with the time array changes from time. It's called a tour, usually 3 racks, 2 floors, and 2 snares, or 1 snare, 2 snares. That's my normal standard setup, plus the 16 cymbals. And then on certain, I gotta have.
This is already huge in some of the gigs, huh?
Yeah. Now, on certain tours, I'll have 4 racks across the front. Then there's like the Victory Tour and Immortal Tour. I have 5 racks across the front, 2 floors, a time over here. Then I have 3 snares. And so it would grow between certain clinics. I had 3 snares, 3 or 4 racks, 2 floors. So it changes according to who I'm doing with artists, how much they allow me to have on stage, as I mentioned before, and what's necessary for the song. You know, other artists I'm working with, this style of music. I'm not gonna have 5 bass drums when I'm playing Lionel Richie's, you know, because it's softer music, so I don't need 5 bass drums. But if I'm doing something that's exciting like Madonna or Michael or say Cameo, the Funkman Cameo, I wish I could have used 5 bass drums with them, but it was always just too much real estate thing with them. But I wish I could have as much stage as I can have for the setup that I like. But it's grown into the 3 bass drums or the 5 bass drums. That's the most significant growth of my kit in the last 30 years or 40 years, you know, the bass drums. I'm trying to spread it into a 3-tier melodic instrument so that I don't have to play with anybody else. I can do my shows myself. I can play melodies on the foot against melodies on the hand, between the hands and the middle times, against melodies on the cymbals. I got 3 tiers of melodies. I can play songs by myself.
That's cool.
Great.
Você quer falar? Você quer falar,
Não,
Gilson?
Só traduzindo, eu perguntei para ele quais foram as principais mudanças no kit dele ao longo dos anos, né? Porque sempre trouxe muito a atenção o uso dos pratos atrás. Ele falou que uma grande mudança foram os bumbos. Pratos ele usou por um tempo 10 pratos, agora ele está usando 16. E 5 bumbos, foi isso que ele falou, né?
Isso aí.
5 bumbos e ele passou a usar isso de forma melódica. Então ele enxerga como 3 camadas. Ele trabalha os braços de forma melódica, tanto nos tambores quanto nos pratos, e também consegue fazer melodias nos bumbos. Mas, claro, isso depende das gigs, né? Quando ele tem alguma coisa mais excitante, assim, como quando ele tocava com Michael Jackson, com Madonna, ele podia levar um kit maior, mas dependendo da gig, ele dá uma reduzida nisso. Mas seria essa a principal mudança, né? O uso dos 5 bumbos.
Okay, cool. As we can see in the production of the documentary, This Is It, Michael Jackson was a very demanding with his band's musician. Did he ever call your attention because you exaggerate the way that you play One of the Night
No.
For that tour?
No, he never did. He trusts that I would give him what he wants. He's always trusted in me. Now, if there's a certain dance movement that the dancers are doing that they choreograph, he come over to me and say, "Look, right here, I'd like to have," and he's telling me what he want me to do. Can we hit that? I like to hit the snare and maybe the bass drum and the crash too. Let me make that happen. You say something like that. Oh yes, sure, Mike, I can do that. Yeah, that's fine.
I can do that for sure.
I can do that.
Did you ever miss a cue? Did you ever miss his cue? Like
no,
like yeah.
Only
I saw that you were following his movements with the hand, and I said, no, he must have a click to hit in that right on the spot. It's unbelievable that you are just seeing his movement, and during the show, sometimes if you don't have like the right light, you can miss that cue.
No, I'm watching him every second of the way, and it's been that, you know, from the first time I played with Michael, and he called me in his dressing room after the first show, ever. My first professional show ever. And when I joined the Jacksons, when I told you that story, I got with them. I was only first professional act ever. I only had 3 days to learn the show. So I don't read music. But what God has me that not being able to read music is supplemented by my memory. So I had 3 days to learn my first professional show, and then we was on stage in Cleveland, Ohio, and so and I was such that I was always, like I said, being a fan of the James Brown drummers. They're crazy. They hit the accents with all James movements. I studied all of that stuff. I was impressed by how they was on cue with him, and he didn't have to say nothing, but his dance movement, they would be right on hit it. That's one of the elements I studied. I really mimicked, and I got into my internal being. If you're going to be with a dancer, a singer, a dancer, you got to be there for that person. You're supporting that person. Sort of like in a movie or film, you got the Foley artist that makes the sound effects, and I'm his Michael sound effect person. I'm Madonna sound effect to their dance movements, their physical movements on stage, and I have to add something. Now this is important. They don't tell me to add that, except for a very few special times, like Michael. I told you Michael told me that night. Other than that, it's on me. I want to do this, and Michael and Madonna surprised. How do you know I was going to do this? And so after my first professional show ever in my life and career with the Jacksons, Michael calls me to his room at the hotel. And of course, when that happens, you brand new out the rapper, but playing with somebody like him and like the Jacksons, it's like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? I was like scared to death. I said, I'm going home tomorrow. They're gonna send me home. So I'm like, they call me, knock on my door, and say, hey, SugarFoot, Mike wants to see you in his room. Mike wants to see me. I'm like, Mike wants to see me. I don't know what he wants. You got to come in right now. Mike called you. He got to go right now. I said, oh man, I'm thinking like, oh my God, what I do? I must have messed the show up. And I went to his room. It's a funny story. I went to his room, and it's like one of them things. I'm walking down the corridor. He blocked out the whole floor, like 2 or 3 floors. Fans can get it up there. Security at the elevators, everything. So I walked down the corridor, hallway to get to his door, way on the end of the suite. And you're walking, and it's like, man, when am I going to get there? It's like the longest walk of your life, man. Because I've been walking for 10 minutes now. I still not at his house, his room. And then you were
scared to death.
I was scared to death, man. I was sweating everything, and I didn't know. I said, why would he be calling me to his room? The guy said, I don't know. I said, oh. So, and then I get to the door, and I'm like, I got to knock on the door. I really got to knock on the door. Oh my God! And so I don't know how should I knock. I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to do it a rude way. I said, do. So but I'm scared, and nobody said nothing. I said, do a little bit harder. Nothing. I said, oh my God. Do. And the door opened. I said, oh, hey, Michael. And so he said, oh, come in, Foot. Come on in. And so he said, yeah, talking. He closed the door. Yeah. How are you, Foot? I'm doing fine. Yeah, I do. Oh, that's great. You know, so he says, we standing around. He said, he's not his head. He's real shy, like not his head like this. And we standing for a few seconds. Nobody said nothing. Then he said, you know, Foot, only with his hands, on the show tonight, you were playing this song, and I did this thing. I did this move, and I stopped, and I couldn't believe it. I said, I shouldn't have just, what I do there? He said, and you hit something. I said, my God, why did I hit that? I know why did you hit that, fool? And he said, yeah, you hit this thing. And how do you know to do that? I said, I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what to do. And then he named about 3 things like that. And he said, the last one, he said, on this other song, I'm doing my spin. And then I just stopped in the middle of my spin. How do you know to hit? You hit the drums. How did you know to hit that? I don't know. I was watching you, and I was watching real close. And he said, oh, okay. And we stood there quiet for a minute, and then all of a sudden he busted up and said, that was great. Keep doing it. And I was like, oh, what? He said, I love it. That was great, Foot. I said, nobody ever did that with me before. You're the first time. And I love it. I was surprised. How did you read it was like you're reading my mind. I said, how do you do it? I said, I said, and I realized something. I could feel it. I realized something. It was a chemistry. I said, God put us together because we were a chemistry set. I call us a chemistry set. I could feel this dude. Before he make a move, I see the inflection of his arm. By the time his arm go like this and turn to get a certain position, and I know when it goes like this, I know when it's going to stop. I can feel it. Never rehearsed. All these things I never rehearsed with him ever. And that first night, I was feeling this dude like a MIDI cable, and I could feel him. And I would do something that I felt was appropriate. And he said, it was perfect. It was great. And I'm like scared to death. And of course, when he said like that, of course I got relaxed. Hey, that's great. Let's stop sweating and stuff. He said, and he said, okay, you can go now. And I went out the room like, okay. And so I said to myself, when I'm going back to my room, why is it that when you go into danger, like you think it's danger like that, you're nervous and scared, this corridor seems so long. When I left there, I got to my door in no time. It was like so short. I got there quickly. So anyway, I said, I'm going home tomorrow. I must have did something wrong. And he was praising me the whole time because I was paying attention to him. He said, that's right. Keep your eyes on me. Nobody's been like that. Did that for me before. That's great. I love it, Foot. He said, you're out. You said, you're my drummer that night.
That's awesome.
You're my drummer.
When was it? When was it?
That was early March. I auditioned for them on February 21st. We had 3 days to learn the show. We had to drive in Winnebago mobile homes all the way from Los Angeles to Cleveland, Ohio, and took a couple of days or so. And we had our first show like either 2nd or 3rd of March that year, 79. And the old auditorium, like theater that was refurbished. And I never forget it. You know, it was magic. And
that's amazing.
Like I mentioned, my first show ever professional. But I said to myself, I was nervous as crap. I said to myself, take control. And the last time we rehearsed it, they said it was great. We love it. And I said, take control. If you get nervous, you're going to mess up. So I settled myself down, and I got in the mindset that do it like you did at the rehearsal when he told you it was great. Just remember what you did. And that's what I basically did. I implemented that mindset, that mentality. If you do it like you did it when it was right and it was good and they compliment, do the same thing, you know, and pay attention. It's very key. Pay attention at all times, not only to Michael, but everybody in the band, everybody on stage, so you be in sync with them. If you start drifting your consciousness and your mentality, you're liable to miss something that you were supposed to do. So when that show starts, your mind is only on that show. There's nothing else in the world that matters anywhere on earth. This is the whole world to you in your mind. And your focus has got to be that 1 hour or that 2 hours. We were doing an hour at that time. That 1 hour, Michael Jackson and the Jacksons owned my mind, spirit, soul, and heart. And my mind was precision focused on every element of that show. Not only my drumming, but their choreography, because I'm watching them all and I'm doing hits and breaks and with them in a precision manner. And I have to be alert to be able to do that. So that's from that show was how I developed my way of working and playing.
That's great. Galera, ele falou o seguinte, vale a pena citar algumas partes que são mais importantes, que se aplica para todo mundo, tá? Ele falou que antes do primeiro show deles, né, com o Michael Jackson em 79, eles ensaiaram, tava tudo super bem, assim, e aí ele tava nervoso pra caralho, mas que daí, né, tipo assim, ele sabia que se ele ficasse nervoso, ele poderia botar tudo a perder, então ele tentou se controlar e tomar conta daquela situação, né? Outra parte que foi muito engraçada que ele citou, e ele imitando o Michael Jackson, né? Foi muito boa, ele falando todo igual o Michael Jackson falava, hi Sugar, come in, entra aqui, não sei o quê. Então aquela parte foi muito legal, e ele falou que teve um dia que o Michael Jackson chamou ele pro quarto dele, e ele se cagou de medo, né? Ele falou que o Michael Jackson ficava em um andar, isolado, com um monte de seguranças, e até ele chegar no quarto do cara, foi tipo uma das mais longas caminhadas que ele fez na vida dele, que ele falou, fiz alguma merda, o Michael Jackson me chamou. Aí ele foi lá, bateu na porta, né? Bateu bem levezinho, como se fosse o Michael, né? Tuc, 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 tuc. Aí bateu mais uma vez, tuc, 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 tuc. Aí nada, aí e aí o Michael Jackson abriu, né, e falou, oi Sugar, oi pezinho doce, tudo bem? Como é que você tá? E é muito legal, assim, que ele já entra perguntando, né, pô, como é que você tá? Aí ele falou, não, eu tô tudo bem e tal, e aí rolou aquele silêncio, assim, E aí ele falou, bom, agora vai foder tudo, né? Aí ele falou, pô, então, eu queria saber de você, porque você fez uma coisa que você nunca tinha feito antes e tal. Eu quero saber como é que você fez aquilo, né? Aí ele falou, eu sempre presto atenção em você. Aí ele falou, não, porque a gente não ensaiou aquilo, né? E você fez aquilo, né? Por que você fez aquilo? Ele falou,
girando e você fez o...
ele tava girando e quando ele parou junto, assim, e ele falou assim, como é que você percebeu aquilo? Ele falou, não sei, eu presto atenção em você, acho que foi a química, né? Aí ele ficou quieto, olhou pra ele assim e falou, aquilo foi maravilhoso, aquilo foi legal pra caralho e tal, não sei o quê. E aí quebrou toda a atenção, falou, pô, continua fazendo aquilo, tal, não sei o quê. Basicamente, o que ele falou mais uma vez, o que ele repetiu várias vezes aqui é, presta atenção no artista, toca pra música, presta atenção pra música, porque isso vai manter o seu emprego, né? Teve uma outra parte que ele pegou e falou lá, né, que ele sempre presta atenção na música, ele nunca toca mais do que a música pede, e era isso que fazia com que ele tivesse sempre presente nas gigs dele, né? Ok. Just 3 more, okay? We promise. So, in what situation did you receive the news of Michael Jackson's death? And how did that affect your musical life?
That's a very difficult one.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was very, 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 very trying time in my life and disturbing time. I spent 30 years off and on with Michael. Their family, they're my family. They are my family, my heart, spirit, and mind. Michael is my brother in my spirit and heart, spirit, and mind. And I felt and related to him really like my brother. And I think of him and I regard him. So it was more than just a loss of work to me, a loss of a music icon. It was like I lost my brother. Come on, my little brother. For real, it really. So it affected me tremendously. But I was we finished the night before in rehearsal. Our first run through, run-throughs. We did our first run through, and we almost finished the run through about 12:30 at night. And we had 2 more songs to go, but everybody was tired, so they let us go, and we were going to finish the next day. And everybody's around. We had a meeting, huddle in the middle stage. Michael's encouraging us and telling us how happy he was and incredible it's going to be, and really enthusiastic about everything. And so he did the pep talk with all of us dancers, band, crew, some of the crew, and then we broke, and everybody went different ways. And I was on one side of the stage, and Michael came over and started talking to me and thanked me for being a part of the show. You sound great, Foot. Sound amazing, and you always do. Every tour sound incredible. And I said, hey, thank you, Michael. You too. You sound incredible. I said, it's fun. It's really fun. He said, yes. Isn't it going to be great? I can't wait to get to London, and we're going to rehearse there and get everything together. I can't wait for the first show. We did some great tours together. It's going to be really fantastic. And we got to run through tomorrow. I can't wait till tomorrow, which was already today. It was after 12:30. It was about 1:30. I left there about 1:30 in the morning. So it was between 12:30 and 1 o'clock that we had this talk. And he said, yeah, it's great. I said, someone made me say, Mike, thanks for having me again on board. He said, really? I said, what do you mean? I got to have you. Of course I have you. I want to have you. Of course you're here. I want you here. I love to have you here. I got to have you. You're part of my sound. And so I said, oh, thank you, Michael. And so he said, I'm glad you're with me. I'm glad you came with me. I said, I'm happy I did too. It's going to be great. He said, yes. I can't wait till tomorrow. We can do a run through tomorrow, and we finish. And next week we go to London, and we begin the shows after the rehearsals in London. I said, great. He said, I love you, Foot. And I said, I love you, Michael. I see you tomorrow. We hugged each other and said goodbye. I had no clue that was the last time I said I love you to him, and he said love to me.
Wow.
Or I would get to hug him, and then we both went our ways. And I went to my car, got in, and drove home, looking for tomorrow because the rehearsal went really great. I was happy, excited. And the next morning, I was next day, I should say, I went to the studio. I was working on my Christmas music, my Christmas album, mixing and mastering. I went to the studio about 10, 11 in the morning. And our rehearsal the next day was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was about 1:30, something like that, 2 o'clock. I get a call from one of my companies and asked me, did I hear about Mike having a heart attack or something? I said, no. Immediately I heard the story. There was a couple of tours that Michael did I wasn't available for. One bad tour, I was supposed to be the musical director. He put the band together with him, everything, but he pushed it back. I wound up being with Madonna, and then when he called, Madonna's tour went overtime, and I was on the contract, couldn't get out of it, so I couldn't do the bad tour. So Ricky Lawson, that's how he got in there, and he did. He's a good friend of mine, amazing drummer. He did a great job, but I wasn't there for that one. And I missed the Dangerous tour because I was with his sister, Janet. And she said, no, Foot, he can't have you now. I got you. So she wouldn't let me go to Michael. But it was like I was rehearsing, working on my music, Christmas music. And I knew from hearing one of those times before that I wasn't there, that he was rehearsing for something in New York. And it wasn't sounding right, I was told by one of the crew guys. Like he liked it and wants it and needs it. And so that he was nervous about doing the show. And so he kind of, they say, this was the guy told me, he feigned, Wayne, what they call Wayne, did fake like sick and didn't do the show. And I said, maybe Michael, when I heard that they called me and say he had a heart attack and didn't look good. I say, maybe, he think we need a little more work because he kept trying to push AG to give him more time to rehearse here in the States. And they didn't want to, they'd already booked everything to go to Europe. So I said, he's just trying to get more time to rehearse. He feels like we need to get a little tighter, whatever. So I brushed off as that. Here, another one of those times like he did before. And they say, oh, yeah, okay, he's playing sick. He's playing sick. So, and so I say, okay. And we talking with the guy. And then, and I thought, and I didn't feel no emergency or no fear about it because I knew that happened, something like that before. We went to the hospital and I was supposed to have gotten sick or some way, serious way. So I brushed it off, and then as we talked more, the guy said, well, Jonathan, SugarFoot, he said, SugarFoot, I got to tell you. And I said, what? He said, not only did that person tell me that another person, total separate person, told me he called me separately and said he rushed to the hospital. He had a heart attack, bad heart attack. I said, then chills went down my arm. That's two separate sources. Story. I said, wait a minute, how did they all know that? So I got nervous. And then they say, you haven't heard from his camp yet? I said, no, I haven't heard anything. Nobody called. I'm here in the studio working. Nobody called me. I said, if something would have happened, they would have called me. And he said, okay, well, maybe it's just something going around, rumor. And then we hung up. And then it was like a little bit later, I got a call from the production crew personnel that books the time for the rehearsals. And he said, SugarFoot, stuttering around. You know what? We can push the rehearsals back a little bit. You get a little extra time in the studio. You can spend more time on your stuff, and we push it back a little bit. And instead of 4 o'clock, you get there about 4:30. About 4:30. And I said, yeah, well, but she didn't say nothing happened. So I just said, okay, fine, that's fine. I'm like thinking, oh, see, that nothing happened. She would have told me and stuff. And then it was dawned on me in my mind. I said, after we hung up, me and this lady, and she said, just be at 4:30. I said, so the rehearsal's still on. He must be okay. And so I called my then friend I was staying with, I called and I said, can you turn on the television? Did you hear anything about Michael getting sick or not? She said, no, I haven't heard nothing. And I said, I've been all day. And I said, the TV on? She said, no. I said, can you turn it on to see if you hear anything on the news about it? She started flipping stations. No, I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. I'm checking all these stations and something. And then as she said, no, I don't hear nothing. I said, this guy called me and told me something happened to Michael. And she said, I heard nothing. And she said, oh, no, Jonathan, wait, here it is. It's on the news. And then I flushed with chills and fear. And she said, oh my God, it is true. They're helicoptering him to the hospital. And then that's when I knew, that's how I found out from that conversation that he's going his way to the hospital. And then she said, oh no, we talk a little bit more. I said, oh my God, it is true. He had a heart attack and stuff. And then they came and broke in and they said, we got bad news. And that's when they said, Michael Jackson has passed. And she said, oh my God, she started crying and said, oh my God, Jonathan, he passed, he's gone. That's when I said, what? You're kidding me. I said, you saw him last night. I said, what kind of happened? And I went into complete shock, utter shock. And then I still I finished there and rushed to the rehearsal spot, almost like in a sense of not accepting the truth. And I got there, and I saw that everybody was crying. And then the reality hit me. Oh my God, he is gone. once they get say when you're gone, you can't come back. Oh my God, this can't come back, can't revive him. He is actually gone, and they hit me, and I broke down tremendously bad. You know, I mean, I don't want to get into how bad it was, but it's bad. It was really bad for me. It destroyed me. It destroyed me. And it took me maybe 2.5, 3 hours to get myself composed there. A lot of people had left. I stayed. And some people were staying behind helping me. They almost took me to the hospital, but not bad for me. But I wound up not going. I calm eventually, like I could say 2.5, 3 hours later, I calmed down, stopped crying, constantly crying for like 2 hours, crying straight without stopping. And then you had a nervous breakdown. And then I pulled myself together and mentally trying to figure out the pieces, how to go forward. Forget the tour. Wasn't even the last thing on earth in my mind was about some tour. My brother was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Not Michael Jackson, the singers. My brother was gone. A younger brother was dead. He's gone. You can't come back. The hardest thing is you can't come back. It's done.
Yeah.
And that feeling destroyed me. So I had to go. I wound up driving home. They were going to get somebody to drive me. I drove myself home. But that's how I heard about it, and had to come with the reality and acceptance of it, and live through that. And then had to perform at his services at the Staples Center in front of him, and that was extremely hard. So one of the moments in my life that is a cornerstone of things that happened to me and with me around me. That can never be forgotten. It will always cause hurt and pain spiritually. Still messed up today, about it. I've gotten better over it and with it, but the reality of it still, in a way, is unbelievable to me. The way things happen. And but I've accepted it, and guess what? I'm carrying. He's still alive, and I'm breathing for him every time I hit that snare drum on one of the shows I do. Every time I play the drums on his songs, on Drumeo and all these songs, I'm breathing life into him, keeping him alive. I'm keeping him breathing, keeping his life and his legacy and career going. I'm still doing it selfishly. I'm doing it for my own love of his music and playing his music. Selfishly, I love playing it so much, and I do it for that reason as well. Of course, we make a living, but because I love playing his songs and his music, And even though he's not with me and with us, when I'm playing it, I see him in my mind. I remember I recorded all the concerts, him in front of me, wearing on stage, and I got it all recorded in my hard drive up here, and I'm spiritual hard drive. And when I'm playing in front of the clinics or the shows I'm doing, I see him. I'm seeing the shows. I'm seeing him moving. I'm playing like he's in the room with me, performing with me. I played just like he was there, no less, not an ounce less than if he was in the room and on stage with me. I played the exact same way, exact same regard and respect for him and his music as if he was here with me. So I'm keeping him alive and keeping his legacy alive, and it means a lot to me that I can do that, carry on.
That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. Então, galera, é o seguinte, essa pergunta foi super pesada, a gente sabia que ia ser, né? Em que situação que ele recebeu a notícia da morte do Michael Jackson e como aquilo afetou ele, né? Ele falou que ele estava falando nessa parte final, que todas as vezes que ele tocou as músicas depois que o Michael Jackson se foi, que o Michael Jackson estava junto com ele na memória dele, nos movimentos, tudo, que ele tinha tudo guardado, né, na cabeça, porque eles passaram por muitas coisas juntos. E quando eles estavam fazendo os últimos ensaios para esses shows, né, cara, tipo assim, numa das últimas noites que ele viu o Michael Jackson, eles estavam trocando ideia sobre como eles estavam felizes do primeiro show em Londres, tal, não sei o quê. E aí ele falou, pô, tô muito feliz que você tá aqui, que você é meu batera, tal, tudo. E aí eles se abraçaram, ele falou que ele amava o SugarFoot, e o SugarFoot falou que ele também amava o Michael, e aí ele falou assim, eu não sabia que aquela era a última vez que eu estava abraçando ele, tendo a chance de falar isso para ele, né? E aí, né, eu não sei se foi no dia seguinte ou nas horas seguintes, que tinha mais um ensaio para ser feito, e eles começaram a atrasar, e ele começou a ouvir rumores que o Michael Jackson tinha ido pro hospital, que ele estava passando mal, tal, não sei o quê, e que ele tinha tido um ataque do coração, mas ninguém confirmava aquilo, e eles mantiveram a notícia do ensaio e só passaram o ensaio para mais tarde, né? Não falaram nada. Mas até então ele só tinha ouvido falar, até que uma outra pessoa ligou para ele e confirmou que o ensaio tinha sido marcado para mais tarde. E na cabeça dele ele pensou assim, bom, é somente a confirmação de como o Michael Jackson é perfeccionista, ele quer ter mais tempo para ele pensar sobre o último ensaio, blá, 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 blá. E aí, né, eles foram todos para lá e até que uma pessoa da produção, que era mais próxima, falou que viu, né, um helicóptero chegando para levar o Michael Jackson pro hospital, e aí foi a confirmação de tudo que tinha acontecido, né? Então, assim, foi pesado pra caralho. Quando eles voltaram lá pro local do ensaio, tava todo mundo chorando, que ele levou 3 horas para ele se recompor e quase levaram ele pro hospital também, porque ele ficou muito mal. E para ele, naquelas alturas, ele não tava nem pensando mais no show, né? Ele falou assim, cara, eu tava pensando que o meu irmão se foi, entendeu? E que eu nunca mais ia ter a chance de ver ele. Então, deu pra ver na voz dele, no semblante dele, quão pesado, né, ficou isso aqui, né, cara? Então, tipo assim, eu acho que a gente tem que finalizar rapidinho isso daqui, Gilson. Então, vamos embora para as últimas 2. Se você faz a tua, eu faço a minha. E já era. Ok, Jonathan, just 2 more and you can be as fast as you want. You know, because I know that for you to talk about this last question was kind of hard, and I can feel it. I can feel it. Yeah.
It's draining, spiritually draining every time I speak about it. I think about it, you know?
Yeah, I know. We can feel it. We can see it. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Gilson.
Well, changing the subject. The music business has changed a lot over the years. What would you say as the main change in show business? And what attitudes of an artist would you consider unacceptable today for those who want to a stable career?
I think the music industry has greatly changed, and some of the young guys, people out there, not going to like it, but in that it really disrupts our making a living. And Achilles, you can understand, you know it too. When we spend days of our lives recording music, something dear to our hearts and our creative spirit and creative mind, and makeup of a song and stuff. But then we put it out and everybody just takes it. The music industry, that didn't happen in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s, and only late 90s thought it happened. And it's like not so much respect for what we do, and that everybody shares our music without us being compensated, because we spend a lot of money. I was just being real with everything. And I love my fans, I love everyone, but we musicians need support too. The industry has changed greatly for us. This is how we make our living. We have fun, you have playing music, but you got to remember, this is how we make a living, support our families. And it's just hurting that I watch it all over across the board in music, that our music, when we put it out after all of the investment, you know, and our songs in the studios and musicians and everything, that the music is just passed around like, you know, freely, and that we're not compensated like before. You know, we made a living at it. You know, right now, we're making a living at performing, because it's not the same way you can make a living at putting out songs and music and have people respect it enough to pay $1 to $1.30 for a song. They just take it and figure, okay, it's there, it's mine. I can do what I want with it, share it with as many people friends I have or people I know, and put it out there, and more people are snowballs and sharing it. And it's like we did all that hard work and spirituality to try to connect with our fans and with people, and it's a way that we feel undermined and disregarded, you know, and appreciation for what we're doing. It takes a long time to record a record. It takes, first of all, a long time to write a song. I mean, some write themselves, but you still got to put effort and time into it. And not only effort in clock time, you have to put mental time and being able to create it and come up with the concepts. And it's like a scientist creating a new invention. Every song is an invention. Like some scientists create a new invention that can reach inside you when you're sad. And I got the tool for you. I got to make you happy. I got the song. Let me put the song. It's like medicine. Let me put the song in your spirit, in your heart. Let me play the song. And all of a sudden you dancing around, you're happy. We're inventors. We invent. Our music is like medicine. Our music is like a new invention that we we help people get their spirits right and happy or make you remember something special in your life, special love time. We spend time conjuring up this how should I say this creative effort of putting together the melodies, the rhythms, and deciding if it should be slow, fast. All this takes mentality power and focus of time. And while we're doing all of that, the clock is ticking. Our lives are wasting away, not wasting away, but going away. We put all this time and love into this, and people just take it. Okay, this is nice, and share it around without saying, well, I'm a fan of his. I'll pay $1 for a song. It's not much. I'll help the musician's cause. I'm speaking for the musician's cause because, for a lot of us, in music, we're doing great in certain ways, but there's times when there is not a gig, and there's times when there is no income. It's not like a 9-to-5 where you got all the pension set aside, you got all this health care stuff set aside. You got to pay for that on our own a lot of times, because individually, like Aquiles and we're not working for AT&T or a big corporation, Boeing, but we got all of those things provided for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're on all of those things, so we need that income. Don't take it the wrong way, please. But I'm just trying to say how we feel and how it affects us in our lives. We need that income, that support on our music and our shows. And shows you pay to go see, yes, but mainly the music. We spend a lot of our heart and soul into to make something that makes you happy, makes you want to dance, and make it live in your life and brighten your lives up. I'm talking to all the fans and all the people out there. We spend time catering to you to do something nice and that you will appreciate. And then the thanks we get is taken and given away, shared, and nothing to show appreciation from. It's kind of hurtful. Because
I agree.
Make our lives. This is our real lives we spending trying to do things that you appreciate. We love our fans, so we continue to do it. It didn't stop us and won't stop us from doing it, but you gotta give some consideration to the love we're showing by putting in that much time to make something that you'll like and enjoy. And it takes a lot of effort, a lot of focus and dedication. I would hope and pray that you hear a message like this, whether it's mine or Aquiles or somebody else's musician, and some clarity to understand how it affects us. And we will always love you, all our fans. We'll always support you, but we need support too. It's a mutual thing. Support one another. And I don't think $1 or $1.30 is a lot of money to download a song that Aquiles wrote, or a song that I wrote. To show this is a little token of love back to the person who sent me this. I love the playing on that. I love the recording. I love the song they wrote. And I wrote, every individual who hears that song and fan that we hear is for you. We wrote it so people other than us can hear it. So we wrote it for you. We wrote it to make you happy, make you feel something about it. And a spiritual reaction in you to touch your soul and your spirit. We put time invested in the studio and on our papers writing lyrics and developing the beat, developing the melodies, sitting time, this chord works, that chord doesn't work. No, let's try this. It takes time to do all of that stuff and focus. We could be doing something else, but we do that and we put it out there. We put it out there with love and affection that our fans will appreciate it. But the change you were talking about, you asked me, the question was, the change is that we don't feel the appreciation anymore like we used to feel. I know at that time you may say it was mandatory, you had to buy, but still, love is supposed to be reciprocal. It's supposed to be reciprocal. And it's hard on us musicians, and a lot of entertainers won't say it. And it's hard for me to say even now. But truth be told, it hurts our lives, and especially in times like now, when the industry's so changed because of that. And even more so because of COVID, it's down basically. So what do we do in the meantime? And still the music is being shared everywhere and passed all around, like, pass the bottle, or you drink it or whatever, pass the food. I want some of that. I mean, just shared everywhere. And we're not getting the regard of respect or mutual love by saying, I'm going to buy I'm gonna buy Jonathan's song for 99 cents or $1. I'm gonna buy Achilles' song to support him so he can keep putting music out. He has the means to take care of himself and continue to feed us music, which we appreciate so much and we love so much. We want him to keep that. We're gonna support him. Like it's like a fund. We're gonna just by buying a song, you get something out of it. It's very small amount to say we appreciate what you're doing. That way, the industry has changed because, as I mentioned, our music is being stolen and shared everywhere, and we have no say so or control over it. So it makes us feel so helpless, and feel like getting taken advantage of. And I'm just talking in the real and getting down to real right now by saying all of those things. But it is the truth of reality, and we want to still say we love you all, which we do. We all love you all too, but we would hope that you would take in consideration these kind of mindsets about what I've just spoken of and give a little love back, because it's not a tremendous thing to ask for, not $100 a song or something like that, $1 a song or whatever. But we need love just like you need love. We're giving you love by giving our music and our talent to you and showing you love and wanting to please you and make you happy, make you feel an emotion of a love, because songs take you back to periods in your life, time periods in your life. They're signposts in your life. We take you back to love you had years ago by writing a certain lyric that triggers your mind. So we're trying to help you experience your life in the best ways, musical ways we can. And I think to answer your question, that's where I see it change the greatest, and the appreciation or lack of appreciation for what we do. We contribute to people's lives. Maybe I don't mean to come off so harsh, too real, but that's the real.
That was beautiful.
I hope
Gilson.
I didn't mess up your show. Nobody going to tune in next time because John got on his scolded us.
No, that was great. That was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gilson, vai que a gente vai finalizar aqui mesmo.
Então, eu perguntei o que ele achava do mercado atual da música, né, as principais mudanças, e ele comentou que o que ele achou que mais mudou e que mais afetou ele foi a forma como a música é tratada, né? Hoje todo mundo se vê no direito de pegar de graça o que um artista compõe, né? Ou mesmo pagando pouco no Spotify. E ele acha isso injusto pelo tanto de esforço que é colocado numa gravação, numa produção, numa composição, e as pessoas deveriam ter um pouquinho mais de consciência em contribuir e adquirir os produtos dos artistas para que eles se sintam incentivados a continuar compondo, a continuar produzindo.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you so much for your time.
I hope I didn't lose all my fans.
No, of course not. Actually,
I didn't make you lose your fans.
No. Actually, you are gaining much more because people understand your point of view, and mostly the people that are watching us here, they are musicians. So they understand what we are talking about, and they know that we need to find a way to keep going because nowadays we don't have a path.
That's right.
We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen when the COVID is done. So they totally understand that, and I'm pretty much sure that you're going to gain much more fans. I
didn't mean any offense to any of the young kids.
No.
I love them.
Yeah, no, not at all. So I just would like to thank you in the name of the family of Osvaldo Vecchioni for helping us to raise some money for his treatment. And I also would like to thank you in the name of all the Brazilian fans that were here, like chatting with us and enjoying this amazing conversation. You are like, you are one of our idols. You are one of those guys that give us an example how to be a real musician with passion to hit the stage every night and to give the best for the music because music matters, because our lives matter. So I just would like to thank you for your time, almost 3 hours, and now the word it's totally yours to say goodbye to your Brazilian fans.
Well, I want to thank you for having me on your show. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and
so much.
Experiment and sharing my life and my experiences with all the fans and yourself. And I'm glad that you invited me on the show, and all the Brazilian fans and I love you one and all. I hear you and you send me messages. And now I'm hoping that I have a lot more family of Brazilian fans from your show, Aquiles, brought a lot of new fans into me. I look forward to one day coming there to do a performance. And I think it's all about the whole embodiment of the human spirit of the collective of all of us that makes the world work and makes life work. And when we have unions like this, where we can all reach out through technology and be together, even though we're separate, we're together. And in this time where we share, like here, and I wish you all the best of life, the best of love, and the best of experiences.
Absolutely.
Keep safe. Keep safe. Protect yourself. Wear your mask. Do everything you can to safeguard your life, so you'll be there and be alive and be well when I get a chance to come there. I don't want to lose any one of you.
Where's Aquiles?
You won't. You won't. For sure you won't.
Yes. And
I almost got lost here because the battery of my cell phone is dying. But I can see what people are writing here in the chat, so it's totally fine. And I'm pretty much sure that after this COVID stuff, we're gonna make this happen.
Yes.
Like we're gonna try to get you connected with some of good promoters in Brazil. You know, then you can share the music and the passion that you have with everyone in Brazil. I'm pretty much sure that people are gonna be there waiting for you with open arms.
I want to see them, and I want to feel their spirits in the same room with me. So I'd love to see all of you, as many as you can cram into whatever building, or if it's an outdoor event, make it an outdoor event to get as many people we can, and many souls together as a collective of souls, and share the experience of music and drumming, and share the love in one another.
Awesome.
We all elements of the whole of love and human spirit. So let's be that.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening. That was a life change talking to you and knowing all these histories in details. That was just unbelievable. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm pretty much sure that everyone's in Brazil is so happy to have this kind of details of your drumming life. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Aquiles and Gilson. I thank you for having me. I enjoyed time with you, and my love to all of you, each and every one of you, and especially you two guys.
Thank you so much.
Be safe.
Have a wonderful night.
You too now.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.
E aí, Gilson? Você viu? Aí, ó.
Saiu.
Vocês aí, ó, a gente fala as coisas, vocês não escutam. A gente explica para vocês que o artista faz as coisas, aí tem que vir alguém de fora falando uma outra língua para testar tudo que a gente fala, entendeu? Não adianta, parceiro. O show que a gente está fazendo aqui é basicamente para explicar para vocês a importância que vocês têm na vida do músico. E mesmo que existam uns poucos boca de burros, tipo, vamos dizer que tem 6 imbecis que deram dislike numa live dessa, eu só posso pensar que o cara que deu dislike aqui é um completo analfabeto, assim, por ele não ter entendido uma palavra que tenha sido. Ele só pode, porque, cara, o cara
nem inglês nem português.
O cara ter a chance de ouvir a história de alguém que estava naquele DVD, This Is It. Se você assistiu, você assiste, tipo, a paixão que existia naquele palco, entendeu? Em todas as pessoas que estavam ali, porque sabiam da importância que tinha. Então, isso que ele falou é exatamente isso. Quem está matando o mercado dos músicos, cara, somos nós, entendeu? Eu tenho muito orgulho de não ter Spotify. E todas as músicas que tem no meu iPod e no meu iPhone, eu compro o CD, eu pago o CD para ter. Eu não baixo, porque eu não sou um boca de burro que quer ser um... Como é que fala? Um canibal, né? Que vai foder a própria espécie, né, cara? Eu não vou fazer isso. Eu tenho que dar apoio para as pessoas que tocam, entendeu? Então, assim, todas as musiquinhas que eu tenho no meu iPod, eu compro. E, bicho, como a gente já falou, né? Tem camisetinha da TV Maldita, tem canequinha, tem mascarazinha da boca podre. Cara, da mesma forma como ninguém está fazendo dinheiro, a gente também não está fazendo dinheiro. Então, é aquele tipo de coisa. Vai lá, passa o cartãozinho de crédito. A gente não sabe quando essas lives vão acabar, né? A gente não sabe. Então, a gente está fazendo uma coisa que a gente está curtindo fazer. E enquanto a maioria das pessoas, entendeu, estiverem apoiando e fazendo esse evento baterístico nosso ser uma coisa saudável, a gente vai continuar fazendo. Então, quero agradecer a todos vocês que mandaram o superchat para o Oswaldo Vecchione. A partir de segunda-feira, a gente está de volta e a gente tem uma novidadezinha de shopping. Como a gente
Amanhã, na verdade, nós estaremos de volta. Não sei se eu estarei, mas você estará.
Exatamente, é. Fala aí, Gilson. O que a gente vai estar fazendo amanhã?
Amanhã nós vamos continuar a conversinha com o grande Paulo Ziner, né, para contar a história da Rita Lee, porque não deu tempo, né? Depois de 3 horas de live, não foi o suficiente para a gente contar a história dele com a Rita Lee, né? Então, voltaremos amanhã às 9 da noite.
E lembrando que amanhã todo o superchat vai ser para o Franklin Paulilo, que foi o baterista da banda da Rita Lee, daquela banda Tutti Frutti. Não, da banda Tutti Frutti, que gravou o disco Fruto Proibido, que tem Ovelha Negra, esse tal de rock and roll, né? Agora Só Falta Você. Então é um disco sensacional. Então amanhã
tem sorteio do prato do Paulo também.
Do Paulo Ziner, que ele está doando para vocês. Então todo o superchat amanhã a gente vai doar para o Franklin Paulilo, que também teve, né, um AVC e ele está impossibilitado de falar. Então, assim, vamos apoiar essas pessoas que são tipo baluartes da música para todos nós. Então,
eles são patrimônio da música.
Patrimônio, entendeu? Pô, esse papo com o SugarFoot hoje, quando ele falava do Michael Jackson, da morte, aquilo ali foi muito foda, foi muito pesado.
Exato.
E aí quero falar para vocês também que, como eu sou um batera de power metal boca de burro, a gente conseguiu fechar uma live com outros 2 power metals players sensacionais. Então a gente vai fazer uma live chamada The Very Best of Power Metal Drumming, com o Alex Holzhart e com o Felix Bunk, do Ed Guy. Então a gente vai falar sobre Power Metal Drumming. Vai ser no dia 29 e no dia 28 a gente vai ter uma live também com o Sérgio, né, que trabalhou durante o Sérgio Martins, que trabalhou durante anos como repórter da Veja, um repórter musical da Veja, e aí ele vai contar para vocês tudo, como é que funcionava os bastidores, né, de como que as reportagens entravam na Veja. A gente entrou 2 vezes lá, né? O Angra entrou uma vez com aquela reportagem sobre metrosexual, que eu até tenho. Eu tenho o making of disso, da gente arrumando os cabelos, batendo as fotos. E a outra vez que a gente foi por causa da gravação do Hunters and Prey. Então a gente apareceu 2 vezes na Veja. E essa gravação do Hunters and Prey foi incrível, porque ela que abriu os olhos da Paiste para me dar patrocínio, porque eu tinha um prato da Paiste no meio de outras marcas. E aí apareceu o interesse. Então é isso, Gilson. Muito obrigado pelo seu tempinho, do seu petisquinho que você deixou de ter hoje, né? Obrigado pelo seu tempo. E mostra a camisetinha para a galera. A camiseta, olha, isso sim que é abuso de estrutura. O Gilson tem a camiseta antes de mim. Eu não tenho ainda. A minha cabeça dele está vindo.
Chupa!
Está dentro do avião, dentro do navio. Ele já recebeu. Então, se você quiser uma igual, entra lá no meu site.
Tá na descrição aqui os links todos, né?
E tá na descrição também. É isso aí. Ajuda a TV Maldita a ajudar você a ser feliz. Bem como o Jonathan SugarFoot Moffett falou, né? A gente está aqui por vocês, a gente está fazendo as músicas por vocês. Então, ajudem a gente também, porque isso é festa. Então é isso aí, galera. Obrigado, Gilson.
Eu que agradeço.
Agora são o quê aí no Brasil? 11 horas.
Meia-noite, em ponto, dia 23.
Meia-noite, Nossa Senhora. A gente continua aqui. Então é isso aí, galera. Obrigado, boa noite, Gilson Naspolini, e a gente se fala em breve. Até amanhã.
Isso aí.
Valeu.
Valeu.